Hey everyone, Brian from Three Geeky Dads here. Before we begin tonight's episode, I just want everyone to know that we are now sponsored by Audible. As an IT professional for a school department, I find myself behind the wheel of my car traveling between schools almost all day long, and that's where Audible comes in. Right now, I'm enjoying listening to Douglas Adams' Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, read by Stephen Fry. It's so enjoyable to hear this hilarious audiobook read by a proper British comic actor. And that's just scratching the surface. Audible is the leading provider of spoken word content, with everything from bestsellers, celebrity memoirs, and news to podcasts. Yes, if you're into podcasts, and you're listening to us right now, so we can assume you do, Audible has got you covered. Just go to www.audibletrial.com/3GD to get your free 30-day trial today. That's www.audibletrial.com/3GD to get your free 30-day trial. You'll get 1 credit, 2 credits if you're already an Amazon Prime member. That's good for any premium selection titles you like, and they're yours to keep. You also get the Audible Plus catalog of podcasts, audiobooks, guided wellness, and Audible originals. Listen all you want. No credits needed. Again, that's www.audibletrial.com/3GD. $14.95 a month after your 30-day trial. Cancel at any time. Audible. Stay informed, connected, and inspired. And now, on with the show.
Warning, incoming dad joke. Warning, incoming dad joke.
Hey guys, I'm Joshua from the Horror Depot.
And
How do you know when the Invisible Man is excited?
I don't know. How?
He comes out of nowhere.
Oh!
That's gross.
Who is your daddy and what does he do?
It was like a pink nightmare.
Christmas as in Yule log. Not a log, I don't have a log.
It's Mother's Day.
All that I have, all that I've learned, everything I feel, all this and more, I bequeath you, my son.
Your father was Frankenstein, and your mother was the lightning.
We named the dog Indiana.
I am the father.
And I'm the dirty one.
We give him an inch, and this is where they run with it. That's what happens.
Well, your
when
joke
you're
was good,
generous.
sir.
Yeah, I like how you brought the inch in on the Invisible Man.
You like that, huh?
Now, Derek wasn't here last week, and he
I
had some
wasn't.
backup dad jokes, too. Should we throw them out just for the hell of it?
Yeah,
you
go
know,
ahead.
seeing
Go
that
ahead.
Derek wasn't here.
I
and-
just all right. First and foremost, I want to let you guys know I now identify as invisible.
You do.
You do.
You do,
Yes,
yeah.
I was born visible, but
Okay.
now I'm transparent, and I would like my pronouns to be referred to as who and where.
Why?
No, not that.
What?
Wrong one. No.
Where?
Who?
When?
On first.
And how do you cure an invisible man?
I don't know.
How?
You bring him to the ICU.
Oh.
Ba-dum-ba.
I'll tell you what, there's a lot of invisible jokes out there.
Really?
It's a very popular subject.
Were there any
Just
good
can't
ones?
see him.
No, they're all pretty much my type of jokes.
Gee, I wonder what movie we'll be doing tonight. Hello and welcome to another thrilling episode of Three Geeky Dads, the show that features dads never seen but always heard. I am Mark, and with me as always are the squirrel and nut to my zippers,
Derek.
And Brian.
and completing our Fantastic Four in a show called Three, our own Human Torch, who's always has his flame on until the police cite him for a ticket for exposure, Tito.
Hey.
And as an extra bonus for our show tonight, we have special guest, faithful friend and listener of the show, the concierge of conventions, the king of cult classics, Mr. Joshua Nolan. Josh, welcome back.
Yeah, thanks.
After I spent hours on that
It is
build-up.
good to see you.
Yeah. It was good to see you.
I'm glad he's back. I always have fun with Josh
Yeah.
on the show.
Yeah, I love
welcome
the
back,
Three
man.
Geeky
It
Dads.
is. It's always good to have you. Man.
And Tito.
You should.
Thanks,
You
man.
should.
The fourth
Appreciate
wheel
it.
that makes the car go.
That's it.
The escargot.
That's a snail.
That's a
Yeah.
It's a
There's
snail.
your dad joke.
And this
That's
is
a
a
snail.
drag. Tonight we will be continuing our
Sharp.
In the March of Madness as we take a trip into the mind of mad scientistry with the James Whale classic, The Invisible Man, starring but rarely seen the wonderful Claude Raines. But before we strip down to nothingness and terrorize the countryside, our own mad doctor of delicious delicacies, Brian, has concocted a yummy appetizer to start us off.
I've got some luggage at the station. How can I have it sent?
I'll get it brought over tomorrow, sir. Are you going to stay a bit?
Yes. There's no way of getting it tonight?
Oh, not tonight, sir.
Very well. You'll bring me some food.
Right away, sir.
Hey, so tonight, as Mark mentioned, we're continuing this year's In the March of Madness series with a look at one of the classics from the original Universal horror monster films. This week, we're looking at The Invisible Man, based on the H.G. Wells science fiction story of the same name. This 1933 film tells the tale of Dr. Jack Griffin, a scientist who discovers a way of making himself invisible. However, he goes on the run in the hopes of finding a quiet place to conduct his research into finding a way back to normal, but he slowly becomes more and more unhinged until he turns completely murderously insane. Now, we here at Three Geeky Dads love a good monster as much as the next guy, but we also love a good mad scientist even more. And in tonight's film, we get both in one invisible package. In keeping with the theme of the dad joke. So we got to wondering.
It's there. You just got to look hard. That's all. It's not invisible.
Ba-doom-pa. You said hard. So we got to wondering, what are some of our favorite other films that deal with a good old-fashioned mad scientist?
You start us off.
Oh, it's me this week.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
So I'm kind of, I love the Frankenstein story, as you guys know, but it's kind of like the go-to when you think of the mad scientist. So thinking outside the box, as I sometimes do, I went for Dr. Clayton Forrester and TV's Frank of Mystery Science Theater. Sorry, Mark.
It's all right. I have a backup. I got a backup.
It's like showing up to the prom in the same dress.
Totally.
But we both look fabulous.
Who wore it best?
Who wore it best?
All right. So, Brian, why is he our number one favorite?
Dr. Forrester loves to inflict cinematic pain, which is what I always say that you like to do, Mark.
I sure do. I sure do.
His mentor.
Birdemic, anybody?
Taught me everything I knew.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Dr. Forrester likes to inflict cinematic pain upon his unwitting subject, played at first by Joel Hodgson. Yeah, okay, thank you.
You were right. No, you were on the
all
right
right.
track.
Yeah,
Joel Hodgson.
and then Mike Nelson, and then so on and so on. There have been a few others since then, but they're the unwitting recipient of Dr. Forrester's pain as he sends them terrible B movies to watch. The guys riff their little hearts out, the subjects with the robot pals, and Dr. Forrester just each week sends them more and more. And, of course, there was the movie where they did the Silent Earth.
Yep.
So it is technically a movie. It started off as a TV show, but it was a movie. So I think it fits. And it's just fantastic. And
Totally.
I absolutely love the Mads.
Yep.
Excellent choice.
Nice.
Glad I thought of it. Josh?
Great minds, buddy. Great
That's
minds.
true. Oh, yeah. I'm a naughty boy.
Naughty.
Sorry. Naughty boy Josh, go ahead.
So I just brought this up just for Tito. Remember Sharkula Sharkenstein?
Do I ever?
So the mad scientist Claus that made Sharkenstein. Oh, he was the best, wasn't he?
He was one of the I can't remember. I did like that movie better than the other one.
I did too.
We were pro
I like
Sharkenstein.
Yeah, this is a pro
sorry.
Sharkenstein podcast.
Yeah.
Friend of the show.
Friend of the show, Sharkenstein.
Acquaintance of the show, Sharkenstein.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard the
distant
I heard the
acquaintance.
Geek Dad likes Sharkula. That's his favorite.
What? Oh, really? He
Raph?
does?
No, I'm only. I don't know, but he can have it.
I was going to say Rav.
Yeah, Rav.
We're going to have to square off, sir.
So Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde was the one for me. The
Nice.
1932 version was the best.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So And originally, I thought you guys were doing anything, so I was like, Dr. Glitter Knight from the comics was really cool.
Oh, you can do anything.
Yeah, I
yeah.
By
Mad
now.
scientist.
I got a couple
absolutely.
crazy ones on there.
Well, he was
Yeah.
a scientist, but he was also like magical. So I didn't know if he counted, but he
Yeah.
was my favorite bad guy of all time. And
Nice.
the
It all
weirdest.
You can use him as a runner-up if you want.
Love it.
Yeah.
Science is just magic in real life.
It really is.
That's it.
Yeah.
And if anybody can find Dr. Glitter Knight and the Werewolf by Night comics, they're like 50 cents.
Oh, wow.
But it's like the best, like literally the best. It looked like very Ditko-esque, the whole issue. So it's really cool in the
Nice.
parallel universes and stuff. So that's my pick.
It's a good
Good
pick.
pick.
Tito.
Dr. Glitter Knight.
Is it?
No.
Are you looking it up?
It was a Mark and
I
Brian
am, but
moment over
I
there.
actually I can't spell. But I picked a comic book. I went with Doctor Doom,
Nice.
the maddest of all the scientists, and kind of a relatable character. You know, he doesn't get a lot of the shine Reed Richards does. Reed Richards stinks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of that guy. And you know, Victor Von Doom, he gets his face all jacked up because he's a bit of a, what's the word I'm trying to think of?
Egotist.
Yeah, a bit, just a smidge.
Chauvinist.
You know, he thinks he's the greatest. And he kind of is the greatest because he takes over a whole fucking place and names it whatever he wants.
You want to
and
hear a Mr.
rules over
Fantastic
people.
story?
Yes.
So I used to do a lot of acid. And
That's fantastic.
yeah, I don't know if you could tell.
It wore off 5 minutes ago.
I'm still tripping.
Did you bring any?
I did, but I took it all on the way. So I used to have a Reed Richards action figure.
Yep.
And I would stick him in my pocket.
I don't like where
and
this is going.
it was there for like 6 months, and he would give me life lessons all the time when I was living on the streets. And be like, "What do I do?" And Reed would be like, "Oh, you need to," and he was super scientific. And he
should
sounded
probably
just
eat,
like.
Josh.
Oh God, I'm stealing that. That's going in something.
And then one day I asked a question and he didn't answer, and that was the end of it. And I cried for days.
Oh, no way.
Reed died.
Wait, Reed stops talking to you once, and that's it. That's all it takes.
He never spoke to me again.
Oh,
I kept
so
him
you
in my
had-
pocket
Saved
for like
his life.
6 more months.
Saved his life.
You probably didn't like being under your armpit, man. You should have put him somewhere else.
You smothered him.
Yeah. Smells
Where'd
like
you get
onions
him?
in here.
Where'd you get him?
I don't know.
Did you find him?
Oh,
He
you
just
had
showed
him.
up one day and he started talking to me, and I was like, "Oh, thanks for the information." And I used to wear flannels, and I keep it in flannel pocket.
More acid, you say?
Yeah, months I carried that toy around.
Wearing flannel, carrying like a little toy.
I
It's like a
changed mine.
Nirvana video in
Mine
here
is
somewhere.
Josh on acid. That's my favorite
Yeah,
mad
Josh, I think
scientist.
you are our mad scientist.
He was a bit pretentious, though, Tito.
I
agree
imagine.
with
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can totally see that. Yeah,
Reed seems like he'd be full of himself.
Yeah.
He calls himself Mr. Fantastic.
He
that
does.
should clue you in.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
He's Mr. Fantastic.
And he's in a loveless marriage.
Just a bombastic.
It's true.
Yeah.
Sue wants
the
other,
thing.
Yeah.
The
She wants
thing.
all kinds of things.
She wants the rock.
And
Not the rock,
Not
but the rock that is the thing.
it doesn't matter if you want me.
That's cool.
Mark, what's your pick?
Yeah. Well, all right. So obviously, my
Yeah,
first one was
that's
already
right.
talked about. So I'm gonna go with my second choice, and that's Herbert West from Reanimator.
Nice.
One of my favorite films. One of my favorite mad scientists. Jeffrey Combs can do no wrong in that film. He makes that film. He makes the sequels watchable, which I think the sequels are okay, but not as good as the original. But they would be even less enjoyable were he not in it. So shout out to Jeffrey Combs as Herbert West. I've talked about this movie many times, so I don't need to go into it again. Yeah.
True that.
Nice.
Derek?
There's so many good ones, but my number one is Dr. William Ware from Event Horizon.
Nice choice. Yeah, that's a good one.
Man,
Once
that is a good
once again, Sam Neill portrays
Sam
an
Neill.
otherwise intelligent person who goes off the deep end, just like our namesake in the Mouth of Madness.
He loses his face. In the
He
process.
does. His obsession with his ship and putting it over the crew's safety are just the tip of the iceberg as the ship twists and turns him into an absolute chaotic avatar for its own purposes.
Larry Fishburne in that, right?
Yes.
He is.
Yeah,
He is.
I
As
think I
is
saw it years ago.
Larry Lawrence. But he was Lawrence by that
Right.
point.
Yeah.
awesome movie.
I remember
like,
really liking that film, but I haven't seen it in forever.
oh, it's so good.
I would like to see that
Yeah,
again. That is
I almost suggested it for this month because of him, and I didn't.
plenty of other
Any
ones.
honorable mentions?
Oh, lots.
Are we in the honorable
Right.
mentions?
Yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
everybody's
Right.
going around.
Start.
So, yeah, I've got Dr. Frankenfurter
Yep.
from Rocky Horror. I've got also Dr. Herbert West. Mark, Dr. Jekyll I've also picked.
Did
Josh?
you say Mark because I'm
Because
one
you
of the mad
picked it.
scientists?
No,
or
because you just picked it.
Yeah.
And I've got
I felt honored.
I've got Dr. Emil Lizardo from Buckaroo Banzai, played by
Lizardo.
John Lithgow.
Oh, John Lithgow's
Yes.
character.
Love that guy.
Lizardo. That's
Dr.
almost like
Lizardo.
Barbara Lazaro. But it isn't. Josh?
Josh, you got any other runners up?
Just Dr. Moreau. That was my favorite book.
Good one.
of-
And his island of curiosities.
I love the idea of genetic experiments, and the book was amazing.
Yeah.
The films, but the book, I really appreciate the book. I think it was super well written.
Look at this guy, fucking scholar over here.
No. Robert Louis Stevenson,
Stop trying to
right?
class this podcast up, Josh.
Is it?
Didn't he do the...
Yeah, I'm reading books. What are you guys doing?
Isn't that why he's here?
Tito's not reading books.
Touche. Okay. Touche. You win. You win this round, Acid.
Acid burn.
Mine not so scholarly. I picked Dr. Light, the creator of Mega Man. Big fan of the game, and I loved Marvel vs. Capcom and his character, and that was always so fun. And one of the specials, Dr. Light would come out and do something fun. Another video game character, Dr. Robotnik. I was a big fan of Sonic.
Oh, I didn't even
growing
think
up.
about
I
that.
love
That's a
that
good
fucking
one.
game.
Yeah.
They changed
made
his
fun
name
of me
at some
for reading
point.
books?
No, I know. That's what I'm trying to bring us back to ground level. Somebody's got to have this. Doc Brown?
Yep.
Okay, and
I
Doc
do.
Brown. Yeah, Doc Brown from Back to the Future.
Bum, bum. I have Dr. Frankenstein, Dr. Frankenfurter, Dr. Jekyll, Dr. Wilfred Glendon from Werewolf of London, Dr. Varner, played by Bela Lugosi in Bride of the Monster, Dr. Octopus, and Dr. Bill Courtner from The Brain That Wouldn't Die.
I almost had that one, too.
Because it takes some balls to put your wife's head on a pan and bring her back to life
Jan
and
in the
not
pan.
expect any backlash for it.
Not to mention whatever was behind that door.
That was Soupy Sales. Soupy Sales was behind that door.
What a great name.
What a great appetizer. Oh, you were still going. Sorry, Derek. I thought you had started. Let's continue.
I'm here tonight, yeah.
Let's continue this appetizer because it's so good.
My runners up again. All the Frankenstein. Frederick and Victor.
Froderick.
Dr. Jekyll.
Well, they were wrong then,
Dr.
weren't they?
Frankenfurter. Connell Cochran from Halloween 3. I think he could be considered a
Absolutely.
scientist. Baxter Stockman.
Okay, yeah.
Baxter Stockman from the fucking Ninja. Oh,
I didn't even think about that one.
Norman Osborn.
Norm Osborn.
And Mr. Sinister.
Yes.
Mr. Sinister.
And then
Good
from
one.
Batman comics, Hugo Strange, and more importantly, Dollmaker and Professor Pig.
Oh, these are all good choices.
Well, I
Those are
should
my
clarify.
picks.
Genetic
Good
experiments are not the best, but they're really cool in fiction.
That's right.
How about that?
Yeah.
Don't cancel me.
That's good. You can't
Only
you can't get
volunteers.
Yeah.
Only volunteers. You gotta want it.
Animal tested.
Dr. Kirk
Tito approved.
Langstrom.
Tito, yeah.
Kirk Langstrom. Did we say Kirk Langstrom? What was another one?
No, we didn't.
That man
or
had a-
Milo. Dr. Milo.
And Otis.
Yeah.
No, wow, okay.
I get it.
Milo and
That was a heartwarming tale.
that was the crickets right there.
Yeah, that
You
was-
put some
that was
crickets
a
there.
deep cut.
Otisburg?
That was a deep,
Otis, Milo and Otis
Disney
Berg.
cut.
And on that
Yes.
ending, let's end the appetizer.
Speaking of Otisburg, what about Lex Luthor?
No,
Would you consider him to be a mad
Oh yeah,
scientist?
he's still he was.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like him better as a politician though.
Yeah.
Me
I
too,
thought he
me
was
too.
more menacing. I didn't think he was that menacing.
There's nothing
as
better
a
than
mad
President
scientist.
Luther.
But I guess you gotta give him props. Yeah,
Absolutely.
totes.
Pour some out for him. Raise a glass.
He's still alive.
Slanja.
Yeah, one for me, one for my homies. All right.
All right.
Shall we get to the main course?
Do it, then.
Main course.
I want to be left alone and undisturbed.
I'll see that no one disturbs you, sir. Here's the mustard, ma'am. You be the death of me with your slowness. Here you let me take the gentleman's supper in and forget the mustard. And him wanting to be left alone.
I told you not to disturb me.
It's only the mustard, sir. I forgot it. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Think of the possibilities. An invisible man can rule the world. It certainly ruled the mid-30s as one of the most popular of the Universal monsters. As the country was slowly moving into a world of science, the monsters seemed to evolve from barons and counts to potions and mad scientists. World domination took place over the Depression, and dictators were the new gangsters keeping countries in their grip. As the 30s became the 40s, and monsters like the Invisible Man continued to appear in horror sci-fi monster flicks. James Whale, already turning heads with Frankenstein, once again introduced us to another creature that boasted great special effects and has since become a staple in the classic monster community. But unlike the Frankenstein monster, whose horrific awesomeness you saw in close-up, the Invisible Man amazed us in what we didn't see. Even by today's standards, the special effects are what still amaze people today. Despite what would be considered today as simplistic and primitive effects, the film manages to keep them looking remarkable. And if I can just go back up, I'll finish this. The movie features a wonderful cast, a great story mixing classic horror with a dash of James Whale dark humor, and a clever balance of violent slapstick that keeps you entertained throughout the film. Followed by several sequels, spin-offs, and inspired movies of invisibility, and also celebrating a successful remake only a few years ago, The Invisible Man still haunts us to this day, and whose popularity, much like the Madman himself, has yet to disappear. So lock your doors, bolt your windows, and beware the unholy unseen of mystery, for it seems that while we never see the Invisible Man, he is never too far behind. Brian, this was your pick.
Yeah.
And you're starting us off.
Okay.
I want your opening thoughts, sir.
I love this movie. I told you guys before that out of all the Universal horror movies from the 30s, this one is probably my favorite. This one I watch more than all the others, too. I just love it. I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe it's the effects. Maybe it's Claude Raines' very subtle performance. But, I mean, he's conveying so much with just a voice. Mm-hmm. And he's still just as menacing as if you would see his facial expressions while he's speaking. It's just a fantastic little movie, and I really dig it.
Awesome, Josh.
Well, you gonna sit down for this one?
Yes. I'm gonna go geek on this. I love the special effects. All of that was done in the 1890s with George Méliès. And I'm a huge George Méliès fan. Mm-hmm. So to see all of his stuff in one film, is pretty awesome. And I identify with the character so much. I love the insanity that takes over sometimes. Mm-hmm. Dude, I running a business and doing a family and all the stuff. Sometimes I just drive myself mad. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you don't realize it until afterwards, and you're like, oh, I sound crazy. You know?
Yeah.
So I completely get it.
Yeah.
And it's not that you want to be crazy, you just get crazy.
Right.
So
right.
Yeah, I love this movie.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
We sure do.
Oh. Tito, opening thoughts?
Yeah, this movie's not for me. It missed its mark.
Sorry.
It's only 70 minutes.
I know, which is totally for me. I do really like Claude Raines. I think he's really great in certain moments when he's really highlighted. Yeah. But there are points where he's interacting with other characters who I don't think are very good. Mm-hmm. This is one of these this is why I don't like black and white movies. Where last week was why don't I like black and white movies? And having gone off of Psycho to see this, where I think those two performances were so good, I think he's really good, but it's the shopkeeper and the townsfolk, and I'm just dude, what is up with these fucking? They're really going hard. Mm-hmm. They're going so hard, it's too much.
They're going ham.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny
when we get to the scenes. There are certain scenes with him where he's monologuing that I think are phenomenal.
Yeah.
I'm just he's let this guy cook. Yeah. He's really good when he's got the opportunity, but I don't think that a majority of the cast is able to compete with him on screen.
Right. I agree with you there,
Which hurts
Tito.
the movie for me.
You mentioned it last week, though, about how, in older movies, that generation, the acting wasn't always great. Mm-hmm. And I totally agree with you.
It feels more for the theater, they're emoting and doing so much. You're only hearing his voice. He's moving. But, again, there are certain scenes, and they're my favorite scenes, where he is just cooking, he's monologuing kind of, or having these conversations, or explaining why he wants to do all these things, that I'm like, oh, this is fantastic. Some of the other stuff with like the interactions, and then when he's not on screen, when you're just seeing the townsfolk planning or doing whatever, I'm just like, I could do without this stuff. If I need more of him. I would also like to see, I've never seen this film ever. I don't have a huge connection to the Invisible Man. I know they've made him, like, the idea of the Invisible Man being a monster never resonated to me. I just always assume just a guy who turned invisible, who's just trying to fucking live his life, not a guy who goes completely insane and wants to like control the world. So I almost think I'd rather see him as a hero more than the monster, which I honestly I wasn't expecting.
In the sequels, they kind of make him more heroic.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't expecting like when you were like, oh, he goes mad, and I was like, oh, I've never seen this movie. I wonder.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this dude's fucking insane.
Yeah.
He's going nuts.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was okay.
So talkies didn't come out. I just looked it up, 1927.
Right.
So you were still like in the first 10 years. Or
Oh yeah, first 5 years even.
Yeah,
so we're all still figuring it out.
If you watch anything from that time, you'll see a lot of emotion in faces.
Yeah,
but the actual talking is usually not as good.
Yeah.
So I think it's just because they weren't used to speaking.
Exactly.
So that's how I feel too. Yeah, right. I didn't even realize it was from 1933 until I was like, holy shit, this movie's from 1933. So I didn't grow up with it. So being my age and going and seeing this movie that I've never seen before, a lot of stuff just not hitting for me because I do like performances. I'm an actor guy. I like actors, and a performance will make me like a movie, even if it's not a good movie. And I thought it was good. I don't think he's getting enough, oddly enough, opportunity to really like cook in this movie.
Yeah.
Because anytime he's not on the screen, I'm just like, yeah, get these people out of here.
I get that.
I'd rather be hearing him speak.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this movie. He was never a favorite monster of mine as a kid. But when I was older and I saw this film and I really got into movies and really started like studying Universal films, I had a greater appreciation for this movie because it's only a few years after Dracula. And you talk about, unfamiliarity with the camera and emoting emotion and acting between that film and Invisible Man are leaps and bounds. Like it's still a fresh medium and people are coming off the stage. But even between the performances in Frankenstein and The Invisible Man, aside from the monster in Frankenstein, a lot of the acting is not that great. It's okay.
So
it's just standard.
This is one of the earliest Universal monster films.
Right.
Yeah.
Right after,
Okay.
You had the great three. You had the Mummy, Frankenstein, and Dracula.
Which all came out in 31 and 32. And then this one came out in 33.
So James Whale comes back to make The Invisible Man. And one of the reasons anyway, I believe, is because he got to do a lot of things he could not do in Frankenstein. He was able to have more liberties creatively and put more humor in it and get those quirky characters that were all from his stage, his, what do you call them, entourage, or whatever.
His stable of actors.
Stable of actors, thank you. And
Una O'Connor.
But the effects are
favorite.
phenomenal. I love them. I think they're still... I just think it's a fun watch. And I love Claude Raines. And I like the cast. And I dig James Whale's work. I think this movie was ahead of its time in terms of subject matter. You were dealing with a lot of issues that... Again, film's only out a couple of years that no one would ever touch. His monologues about world domination and ruling the world at a time where people of the church were scrutinizing these movies for the slightest little bit of taboo that they would instantly put the censorship on.
And this came out in 33 and 39. You'd have Hitler popping up spouting the same shit.
Absolutely.
So I mean, it was a little prophetic.
Again, he's the first dictator. He's more than just a mad scientist. He's a prelude to real life monsters that are coming. He's that next generation of monsters that's going to come in the following years. And so you look at it from that, or at least I look at it from that, and I have a great appreciation for the film.
Ironically, not always visible on the outside.
No, look at that. Yeah. Deep.
Like a werewolf or a vampire.
And the getup is great too.
He looks fucking
the bandages,
awesome.
the glasses.
I can't. He looks fucking dope.
Yeah.
He does. I would love that getup. Yeah, even if you could see me.
You could do it.
Wear those glasses with a fucking hat and a
Yeah.
There was.
And a Humpty nose.
Yeah, I would totally throw it right on there.
There was a comedy made. It was like a short film. It was featured on an old variety show where the guy walks in, they recreate the whole Invisible Man intro, and then when he takes off he's got the whole getup, but when he takes off his clothes, he's clearly naked, but he thinks he's invisible. He's
That
like,
was the
nobody
Mystery Men.
can see me.
The Mystery Men did
They
that,
used that
yeah.
in Mystery
Oh,
Men.
yeah.
Yeah, he's only
Cal
invisible
Mitchell.
when other people aren't,
When no
aren't
one's
looking.
looking.
So that's
Kel Mitchell.
those are my thoughts.
For a movie of its time, the effects are just phenomenal. They really are great. There are a couple really great performances. I agree with you, Tito. There's a lot of not so great. There's definitely some shortcomings, and not to mention some like really glaring issues that I was like, oh, that doesn't make any sense. But I don't think it gets its due for as far as Universal monsters. I've seen this once a long time ago. It's been a long time since I've seen it. So and you do kind of think like, as a kid, one of the if someone asks you what superpower would you like, most kids say invisibility. It's something
Either that or fly.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
But like, you don't really think of it as a villain, as a bad guy. I think that with this, I mean, he's definitely he is a monster. He is and it kind of throws people off. For the most part, it was enjoyable. I disagree. I really did I like the town, and I love Una. I was so glad. I was so happy to see her in this.
That's the wife of the
wife of the innkeeper.
It's the one that
And
screams for half the movie.
So like she was in Bride of Frankenstein. She was
okay.
in has she been in all of them? Not all of them, right?
No, she
But a
wasn't in
lot.
the original Frankenstein. She was in Brides. in
Bride,
this one.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought she was great. Like she just eats.
You and me are gonna have words later.
Me and you?
Yeah.
I thought you love her.
No, I hate.
Oh, thanks,
I was all excited.
That's the one thing I really don't like about this movie is her inclusion in this. I don't know why James Whale falls on this one. He had a thing for Una.
Well,
but
she had him cracking up on the set. So, but yeah, that's
something wrong with James Whale.
Overall, I liked it. It's enjoyable. It's especially for a movie of its time. It's incredible what they were able to do, and really Claude Raines, like what he was able to do without being able to emote visually and with just his voice. It's really impressive. So
That was his debut.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Imagine taking a role and then like being told you're not going to be seen until the last 2 minutes of the movie.
Right.
Not even the last 2 seconds.
Yeah.
All right, because you see him again.
That's a ballsy move.
Yep.
All right.
And then a few years later, he'd be winning the Oscar for Casablanca.
See.
I forgot he was in that.
All good things.
Categories?
Absolutely.
Let's do it.
Brian, favorite scenes?
Favorite scenes. I like when Jack, our invisible man, finally shows the people of the town what he actually is or actually isn't. When he unwraps his bandages, strips down, and terrorizes everyone that he comes into contact with, mostly in the form of harmless pranks at first.
Yeah.
Things go a little, wacky after that. So.
Nice.
Josh? Acid Josh?
Acid Josh.
That is
Acid Josh.
That's a name. That's
I'm
your name.
respectable now. I'm
Pocket-
kind of.
yeah.
Pocket
I don't-
Reed.
Mr. Acid Josh.
Yeah,
I'm
Mister.
sorry. Mr. Acid Josh.
I like that.
Pocket Reed.
No, Mr. Acid Josh was his father.
The best scene in the movie for me when he's like, even the moon is afraid of me. That was amazing.
Yeah.
And I can relate. Like my wife standing there, and I'm like, I'm so driven to do things that I sometimes sound like an absolute lunatic, and my wife is just standing there looking at me like, what is wrong with you? And I'm like, even the moon's afraid of me.
You'll all see.
Yeah. And that's and I can relate to being driven to a point where you're like, you walk the fine line. And when that scene, that's like my favorite scene.
Yeah.
So.
Do we mention it's good to have you here? I just want to be sure.
It is.
Yep.
I agree. The effect of him sitting in the chair, I think, is just fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, with a cushion.
I like watching
Yeah.
it. The
Yeah.
cushion goes down,
Yeah.
and he lights up the cigarette just to show you what they can do, right? Because he's not really smoking, but I just think that's phenomenal. And there are 2 scenes, again, when he's like really going for it, when he explains to Kemp how he became invisible, and he's kind of just monologuing to Kemp, I think is phenomenal. And then him explaining to Flora how he'll sell his secret to the to the highest bidder and then, like take over the world. Again, another really awesome scene where he is just commanding the screen. He's amazing. And you don't see his face. All you can hear is his voice, but you can almost kind of tell what he would look like when he was doing that.
Because the tone of his
very
voice
maniacal.
and-
It's just phenomenal. Those are my favorite moments.
Nice. I got the intro to the Invisible Man when he's walking in the snowstorm and he appears in the inn, and you've got that cut of the close up of him with the wind in the background.
In
He's
the
just
doorway,
looking
yeah.
up in the doorway. I love that scene, and I
leaves the door open.
Yeah. Close the
wide open.
door.
What doesn't work for me?
Right?
on
Is him
there.
leaving the door?
What, closing the door?
Is him leaving it open?
It makes me so angry in any movie when somebody walks into a building or a home or an apartment and they don't close the door behind
You're
them.
raised in a barn?
All I can think is somebody watching them from the hallway now? Like, what if somebody walks by? They don't want to see you making out with your wife. Close the fucking door, you savage. It gives me. It's weird. It gives me a little anxiety.
So you needed that closure, is what
I need
you
him to close the door.
Ba-doom-ba.
100%.
Okay, all right.
Closure.
I'm gonna bring it up again.
I like the scene where you see the pants skipping along the country.
yeah.
Oh, that's
And
great.
he's,
With the
Here we go
ladies
gathering
screaming?
nuts in May.
Love it.
Yeah, the lady's taking off.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, that's
And
awesome.
I like when he's first unraveling the bandages and showing everybody, and Clive,
That's a great
Clive
effect,
Revel
too.
saying, he's all eaten away,
Oh, yeah, that is-
which is one of my favorite.
I remember being
Yeah.
frustrated too at first because I thought it was a huge plot hole that there was hair, but then he takes it off. and
He's
it's-
wearing a
wearing a
wig.
wig.
Yeah.
But I'm like, wouldn't the hair be invisible?
I thought at first it was hair, and I thought, oh, this is kind of cool. His hair's not invisible. And then it was a wig, and I was like,
That
no,
hair
I
just
kind of
comes
want
out
to
of
see him.
nowhere.
I kind of want to see him with just hair.
That's how you really know. That's how you really know if someone has a
hair.
toupee.
The attack of the
Back of his
toupee right
head.
there.
That'd be fucking awesome.
He takes off his pants and he's got a merkin on.
Derek, what are your favorite scenes, man?
My favorite scene is I love the eviction from the hotel, like her losing her shit,
Oh,
and,
God.
like, him falling down the stairs. I love the innkeepers. I'm sorry, I love them, and I love Una. I just like she's so over the top.
We found one.
It just makes me laugh. What? A woman that I like? I like plenty of women. Like I am not some women-hating guy. Like stop. For real.
We found one.
For real.
Derek, I like you too. That's my Uno.
And I also like I love the scene when he kills Kemp. Like the
yeah.
whole like tying him
into the car.
into the car, and like him saying it, and Kemp like gets desperate and says like I'll do whatever you want, and you know
Kemp.
you just sit tight and goodbye.
Oh, it's good. I like when he's just like tossing people off the side of the fucking.
He's tossing the
Oh,
bike.
hey, you're on the side of the. I'm just gonna throw you off the cliff.
Yeah.
Oh, you too? Yeah, go for it.
Here's your bloody bicycle.
Yeah, right.
Awesome.
Very good,
Nice.
Brian.
Yeah.
What doesn't work for you?
Una O'Connor. Una O'Connor's own unnecessary screaming and wailing like that. I didn't like her in
Bride.
in Bride of Frankenstein. I don't like her in this. Yeah, it's just way too much. Jesus Christ, she screams for no reason. But mostly it's Gloria Stewart's Flora. Her delivery of every line, each and every line, it's as if she's about to burst into tears, but comes across like a little kid trying to come up with a story, like she's trying to whip up. Oh, Father, it's. I just can't stand her performance in this. It's like she never gets out of that one speed. Every line is delivered like that.
She has that in the old dark house as well.
Is it? Yeah, that was directed by Whale too, wasn't it?
Was, yes. Did not have
my
my
notes.
What's that?
Fucking
Did you copy my notes?
screaming.
No, I
know,
did
we're gonna
not.
have back to back to
I have
back.
not seen your notes.
to back.
I copied Mark's
Yeah,
notes.
the girlfriend was
You
the
copy
worst
my
for
what?
me.
Notes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not a
I didn't
fan.
like the girlfriend either.
Yeah.
I couldn't stand her. And I was like, of all the people you could have hired for this job, this
Oh
is
yeah.
and also the crazy wench. in
We
the
don't like.
bar.
We don't like Una.
The
Yep.
excessive
Una O'Connor.
screaming.
Oh, it's
Like,
terrible.
We can all just go at the same time then.
What doesn't work for you, Tito?
I wrote, not closing the door.
Come in. Close the door.
Seriously, I hate it.
Yeah. That's
But
good to
I
know.
put crazy old broad and irrational girlfriend. I don't. It doesn't work for me.
It's not a good portrayal of women, is it?
It's
Now
terrible.
who's a woman
That
hater?
goes I got all kinds of shit with that too later. It was like I can't lower the volume because I won't be able to hear anybody else. But she's fucking screaming through my television
it's
at me.
Piercing.
Right?
It's piercing.
Very harsh.
Yeah.
Just listening to it was very harsh. I was like, God, fucking kill this shit.
And then there's that one scene where she just looks at her husband
ear.
and he's just like kind of out of it and she screams for no reason.
Yeah.
He did nothing. He's just kind of, he's probably got
Poor
that look on his
bastard.
face because she's screaming.
So would it be okay if it was one, maybe two screams, right?
Yeah,
That's what I was
but-
thinking,
Yes.
it
was way overdone.
Keeps going.
Well, I'll get to it when it's my turn. Never mind.
Go ahead.
It's your turn.
That's
It's your
us.
Okay, Connor doesn't work for me either. But I'm going to tell you why.
Why, Mark?
One of my favorite things to do in October is fall asleep to these Universal horror
Una
films.
O'Connor screams?
They lull me to sleep. They gently lull me to sleep. I love The Invisible Man. It's got some soothing moments in it. The music, the sound of the wind and the storm. But then you've got that, and it wakes me right up. And not only that, it wakes my wife up. So to this day, I am not allowed to put on The Invisible Man to fall asleep to because Sarah's like, that dumb bitch always wakes me up. So thank you, Una O'Connor. Yeah, no, her screaming is too much. I don't mind it in The Bride of Frankenstein because one, there's not much of it. And
What is
two,
she? What is her character in The Bride of Frankenstein?
have you seen The Bride of Frankenstein?
Similar. It's similar type of
She's
character.
pretty much playing the same character.
Okay.
She's just a villager who screams a lot, but not as much in this. And because
So she's
everybody
versatile.
in The
Yeah.
Bride of Frankenstein is so fairy tale,
She's one of Frankenstein's servants, isn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
But
she's in
everybody's
she's
so
in Castle
eccentric.
Frankenstein.
And everybody's so, over the top in
Yeah.
that anyway. That doesn't bother me as much as in this, which doesn't have that fairy tale-like setting. Everybody is kind of more straight-laced and down-to-earth in this movie, and she's just still playing the part of Minnie. That's her name in The Bride of
That's
Frankenstein, Minnie. And it's like, enough is enough. And Brian's absolutely right. There are moments when she stops screaming, and then it's as if she remembers, I need to scream more.
Right?
And she just does for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah,
Mark,
it's
you got
too
a
much.
lot of resentment right there.
I remember
Yeah.
thinking when the husband was like, "Can we tell him later?" As soon as he said that, saying like, "Oh, dude, you just made a fucking mistake.
Yeah.
She's gonna yell at you,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna have to hear it,
Yeah.
and I don't want to. Just fucking get him out of here.
Yeah.
Make her stop."
Yeah. See, I don't think that right now we're women hating. We're just bad actors hating.
No, we're not women hating.
overacting
we-
hating.
She's going so fucking hard on
Yeah,
that.
I don't
she
like
is.
this scream.
Way too much.
I don't mind Gloria Stewart. I mean, I think it's hilarious. Your imitation is 100%.
All she does is she's just about to burst into tears.
Yeah,
like,
she's just there.
She's trying to whip up
she's
crocodile tears to get out of something.
uninteresting. But I
I
don't-
broke the face. I'm sorry.
But I don't hate her. Like, she's fine. Whatever. She's the
Fine.
girlfriend.
Yeah.
Fine. I don't give a shit about her.
But the bar person.
But the
that's
bar
like,
person's waking me up.
Yeah, you're gonna kick her grave. Like,
My wife's
thanks for
gonna
messing
kick
with my
her.
marriage,
Yeah.
bitch.
You're
Like,
gonna sleep
my
on the
life.
couch, you know? There's a limit. There's a scream limit in the bedroom, apparently, on the TV.
on the TV. Yeah.
Right, honey?
Not in the room in general.
No,
Depends on the time of the
day.
So I disagree. I love Una in this. I will agree about Gloria though.
Stand alone.
Gloria Stewart's performance is just awful. And I had read that Claude Raines was a little overbearing with her, like very difficult, and was like intimidating her.
They're not in a lot of scenes together.
No, well, I know, but like
endlessly.
well, that's the thing.
Yeah,
so I
give me that.
I had read that. I think she chalked up her bad performance to him, and I think that's just bad. She just sucks.
No, because she had that same
well,
performance in The Old Dark House, and she was like trying to blame somebody for that too. I can't remember who the hell it was, but she was like, I'm under a lot of pressure. No.
Yeah, the
Relax.
shaky and
Yeah.
no, thank you. I mean, I think they could have done without the love interest or her father, really, in general. It's just fluffer for the movie.
But the revenge.
The movie's pretty short, and it's like it's like filler. And the fact that he has to get naked to be invisible makes sense.
Yeah.
But that would mean that he would have definitely gotten hypothermia when he was running from the law in the snow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like it snows at one point.
Yeah.
And you're out there traveling from some little village to like the big city or whatever.
And
you're
you would
gonna-
have-
He
you would
does
have
mention how
footprints.
frozen he is. Get
right,
me,
like he's
get
cold.
me a
when
warm
he-
blanket.
Yeah, right.
The room
Oh,
for the
like-
fire.
So good to sit by the fire.
But I mean,
Warm my ass.
I'm not making it too far if I'm running around in the snow and you know.
They were tougher back then.
naked.
Yeah.
There's an image. They were tougher back then.
They were tougher
Yeah.
back
Tougher
then.
back then.
You got at least like 20 minutes, half hour. Plus, you know your blood's going. So
Plus, the formula might have upped your body
That's
temperature.
true.
yeah, we don't.
Maybe
know.
you get really hot when you get invisible.
All right.
But I
we
will
don't know.
agree.
Jesus.
I will agree. If you're running naked through the snow, you're not going to have shoe prints. You're going to have footprints.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
My wife says I'm a
Oh, I
lot
didn't think
hotter when
about
she
that.
can't see me.
I've had that too. And
I heard
now
the
it's
same
back to
thing.
the screaming in the bedroom again. But I'm not in there. He's all eating away.
He's all, you know,
I'm
that
just
is a
as
good
good,
line.
baby.
That is a good line. Brian, does anything work for you?
Yeah, the effects were awesome. Super practical. I'm not going to say super practical because that makes it sound like I'm going to follow it up with califragilistic.
You know you want it.
No, but they were the effects were awesome, ahead of their time. So simple, but they totally hold up today. Like Josh said, all done in camera. All Georges Méliès pioneered all this stuff back in the late 1800s, and they knocked it out of the park, man. I was so surprised, like the first time I saw it.
I was very impressed.
Yeah, like now I know how they did it, but the first time I saw it, like when he's unwrapping the bandages on his head, and you can see through the eye sockets to the back of the skull there, and I was like, oh my god, that's awesome for 1933.
Yeah.
How'd they do that?
There were just like so many little things that
Yeah.
it was like, what else can we try? Like
Yeah.
lighting a cigarette and smoking a
Yeah,
cigarette
exactly,
invisible, or
exactly. The
making
bike
chair go
riding down,
And it
the
wasn't
riding
just
the
like
bike down the
Yeah.
street.
And it wasn't
Fucking
just
nuts.
things on strings, like
Yeah.
hanging in the
Yeah,
air.
yeah,
or-
right.
Yeah.
what you would expect from a movie this old.
Some of it was
Like,
though, but not all of it. Yeah,
But even better.
yeah,
that they
like
did
Tito
it
said,
for-
like the effect of the chair cushion going down is
Right.
And I read how they did like the footprints in the snow, which was pretty clever.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
And they show you how they do it. And
Yep.
you still are enamored by watching
Yeah,
it.
they
even
came up
after
with
now.
this almost 100 years ago. Holy crap!
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I was super impressed by all those things. What about this movie works for you?
That's the same. Yeah, the special effects. I'm a huge special effects fan. Yeah, it's all practical stuff from way back, so I'm a huge appreciator. So yeah, for that and the madness.
So who was the guy you guys both mentioned?
Méliès?
Georges Méliès.
George
He
Méliès.
was a French director. He did The Earth to the Moon.
Okay.
Remember that old silent film of
Oh,
the
yeah,
rocket
it
going into the moon's
lands in
eye?
the- yeah, okay.
He did
See
all
the movie
kinds of.
Hugo. It's all about him.
So he
Kingsley
also
plays
did
him.
the.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, the Scorsese movie?
Yeah.
Oh.
See Hugo.
He did the first everything.
Yeah, he
George
did.
Méliès. He had the first naked woman.
Yeah.
Film, which was his
Hugo
wife.
is Scorsese.
The first vampire was in the Haunted Castle that he did. The first demon on film, and the first ghost on film.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and all those special effects that you saw in this movie, he had done. He made special effects what they are.
Yeah.
Like they still use his special effects to this day with camera work and stuff.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and a lot,
never
and a
heard
lot of
this
it's
guy.
done like in camera stuff, like forced
Yeah.
perspective. He came up with all that. The stuff that they used in the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
With that forced perspective to make
Right.
the hobbits look bigger, and it was all him.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
All him.
Okay, all
He
right.
came
Like
up with all that
literally
stuff.
the
Like
originator of special
yeah,
effects.
Oh,
like
wow, okay. That makes me like this
cameras were
even more.
brand new, and this guy's like, look what I can do with this.
That's
he
why
was
they
like-
called him the magician.
Did
Yeah.
anybody? I'm sorry, I was showing Derek the Scorsese credit. Did anybody mention the Smashing Pumpkins video that paid tribute
Oh, that's
to
right.
it?
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah.
Tonight,
Yeah,
tonight is a
Yeah.
trip to the moon.
Yeah.
That's all. Yeah.
Yeah, and the descent into madness was where it was at for me.
Yeah.
And I really like that. It starts off where he's just like kind of like, I need to get this done, and then
Yeah,
he,
leave
like,
me
flips
alone.
the switch, and then he starts laughing, and he sounds like the Joker, like
Yeah,
before the
he
Joker.
does.
Yeah, totally
He's got
maniacal.
that.
No.
Ooh, hee, hee.
Mark Hamill actually has gone on record saying that this was his laugh in this was an inspiration for him to do for
Yeah.
how he
Oh,
does
really?
you can
Oh,
tell.
that's
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah, you can tell.
Yeah,
Yep.
yep.
That's cool.
Yeah, I love that. If you watch it from start to finish, you can tell the voice changes as it goes, and he gets crazier and crazier, and then towards the end, it's like he's off the rails.
Right.
And I love that.
Yeah, it becomes super maniacal. That's when I like his performances the most. When he's like, oh, this guy's fucking gonna
Maniac.
conquer the world. I almost wish he had. I'm on the same. I didn't know any of this as far as like the effects go, but the effects in this movie are phenomenal. It makes me like it that much more, knowing how old the film is and how what's the word I'm looking for?
Impressive.
Impressive. What a pioneer this guy was.
Influential.
Yeah.
Influential. Thank you.
Yeah.
The other thing that really works for me is Gloria Stewart. Just the look of her.
She's pretty.
I love, or just that like flapper, kind of with the pasted hair
Yeah.
and the makeup, and I was like, oh, I love that look.
Yeah.
So I
Classic.
where I
beauty.
didn't love her performance.
Right.
I liked the look of her because it just reminded me of that kind of
Good point.
glamorous Hollywood kind of
True.
style.
Very
that
true.
I think is very cool.
The effects, obviously, everything you guys said, but also James Whale works for me in this because he essentially told the Frankenstein story that he wanted to tell. Now, he couldn't tell the Frankenstein movie he wanted to tell because of censorship. That is why you got the boyfriend in this movie again, the jealous lover. Because in the original ending to Frankenstein, Henry kills Victor, the love interest. Now, they didn't want that. It was too dark, so they ended up making him just a friend who secretly wants May Clark but doesn't act on it because he's friends. This time around, James Whale basically tells the similar story and has the ending he wanted for Frankenstein in this, but because the character was more menacing, he was allowed to have the ending he wanted. The boyfriend or the lover dies, and that's why that's in there. That was total like, haha, take that, jerks. That's how I'm getting away with this. And
I agree though with Derek a little bit. Like you could just have him be his like lab assistant or his partner in the invisibility.
Like there could have
and
been
that
a different
storyline
connection.
can still work where he kills him.
yeah, but then
without having her father
you wouldn't
and
have
then
him
Flora.
say, you wouldn't be able to go Kemp all the time, and that's just fun to say.
No, I'm saying like have Kemp, but not have the father be.
But not
his-
have the father. Yeah,
have
the
Kemp
father,
be
sure.
The assistant,
That's Clarence, right?
Clarence.
From It's a
Yes.
Wonderful Life. Yeah, right.
Yep.
Such a bad performance.
Yeah.
And he was also in Hitchcock's Shadow of the Doubt, which I love.
He's so dopey.
I think it's just
he's
his look.
lovable.
Yeah.
He's lovable.
He looks like Droopy Dog.
He's just a lovable little man. He's an adorable little man.
Going down.
So, yeah, those.
Going
Going down. Those are my two.
All right.
That's what works.
Same. Effects are awesome. I do love all the Innkeeper stuff. And Claude Raines' vocal performances and like you said, of madness. Like just the madness in his voice are fantastic.
Claude Raines does work in this movie.
Yes.
He really does.
Yes, he does.
Okay.
Does all the work.
All of it.
All of it. He's got heavy shoulders.
Yeah.
Heavy as the crown.
Heavy as the head.
The head.
Yeah.
That's.
I'm sure the crown is heavy too.
That's why.
Heavy as this crown that's on my head.
On my tiny coconut.
You got a favorite quote over there, Brian?
I do. I got a couple of them. We'll begin with a reign of terror. A few murders here and there. Murders of great men, murders of little men.
Yeah.
Well, just to show that we make no distinction, I might even wreck a train or two. Just these fingers around a signalman's throat. That's all. I love that.
And he keeps his word.
I wanted to leave it. I did the whole quote, but my favorite part of it is we'll begin with a few murders here and there.
He's planning out his day.
Yeah. And when he says an invisible man can rule the world, nobody can see him come, nobody will see him go. He can hear every secret. He can rob, rape, and kill. And then I love the bumbling police guy, Constable Jafford, say, "Hi, how can I handcuff a bloomin' shirt?" Just thought that was funny.
You got any favorite quotes?
Yeah, when he, I already said it, when he was like mad at the moon. He's like, the moon's afraid of me.
Yep, that's a great line.
I'm an old school wrestling fan, and I love those promos where they were like, I'm so bad, my reflection can't look at me. You know, that's fine. Yeah, I love that kind of stuff. So
Jake the Snake and his Jack. Jack Clubs. I got two of those.
Superman reads comics about me.
That's very Ali too.
That's
I'm so mean I make medicine sick. One of my favorite quotes is actually from the Crazy Old Broad. Oh. It's only the mustard, sir. I just thought that was
It's only the mustard, sir. Yep.
I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
They're all things that I thought was really funny.
You know, it would have been fine if she didn't scream.
No, I know.
It would have been funnier.
Yeah.
There wasn't so much.
She hadn't started screaming at that point.
No,
No,
she-
not
yeah,
then.
she's only the mustard.
Is
sir.
that
I'm
your
surprised
favorite line in
the
the movie?
mustard didn't.
That one?
That's my favorite one.
Or is it when she's sobbing? It's,
And looks at her husband and
yeah.
The scream.
I love that.
Meanwhile, Sarah's in bed. Turn this off. Why do you have this on?
The innkeeper. The wife says if you don't go, she is. So it's got to be you. Which seems odd because I would feel like he would want her the fuck out.
I can deal with this guy.
Yeah. Who's going to make the breakfast, though, right?
Yeah,
That's right. That's right.
And then,
who's going to bring the mustard?
The laundry and the mustard.
Tell the mustard for breakfast, sir.
I don't know if this line's supposed to be funny or not, but it's fucking hysterical. Excuse me, sir. There's breathing in my barn.
Oh, yeah.
That's hilarious.
It was worth it just for that. But those are my.
All right, so I brought him up last week. Our friend of the show, he did a lot of our intros. Jason Pritchard. This is actually his favorite Universal monster movie too, Brian. And because of him, this is one of my favorite quotes: "Is I need a room with a fire."
That's a good one.
So every time we like talk or go and hang out, that's what we're like. I'm gonna need a room with a fire. Then there's, "You're crazy to know who I am, aren't you? All right, I'll show you." And then, of course, there's, "Look, he's all eaten away."
That's a good line,
Those
too.
are the three that always stick out to me.
Yeah, that was my. I do like the whole thing. Though. All right, you fools, you've brought it on yourselves. Everything would have come right if you'd only left me alone. You've driven me near madness with your peering through the keyholes and gaping through curtains, and now you'll suffer for it. You're crazy to know who I am, aren't you? All right, I'll show you. And then he takes out the notes and he chucks it. He goes, "There's a souvenir for you."
And one for you. Yep. It's an awesome performance.
Yeah.
It's great.
And
Yeah,
again, the
it's
scene with
great.
Kemp when Kemp offers him, he tries to plead with him, and he goes, "Just sit where you are. I'll get out and take the handbrake off and give you a little shove to help you on. You'll run gently down through the railings, and then you'll have a big thrill for 100 yards or so till you hit a boulder. Then you'll do a sum." I love how he same thing with what he's going to
got
do.
every foot planned out.
Yeah, right. And then he ends it with, "Well, goodbye, Kemp. I always said you were a dirty little coward. You're a dirty, sneaky little rat as well. Goodbye."
I like when he's talking to Kemp about the food. "You mustn't watch me when I eat."
That's right.
Oh, golden.
Is it too long, too short? What's missing? What don't we need?
I said it's just fine. Again, there's no fat on this movie for me except for Una.
Just a little Una
A
fat.
little too much
skinny.
Una, but other than that, there's no fat.
Give me Invisible Man, hold the Una. Like
It's only mustard, sir.
is that what Una is?
She's only
It's
mustard.
just mustard.
Yeah, she's like a
You
condiment.
eat it, you scream like
Just
Una.
mustard in the wind.
Just mustard. Yeah, right.
Una?
Josh?
Uma.
All they
Uma.
are is mustard in the wind.
Is it too long? Is it too short? Is there anything missing? What don't we need?
Well, I didn't need that screaming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, other than that, I think it was pretty solid.
Nah, you like everything.
I need that screaming.
Oh, yeah.
Only when he's crying, and then she just looks down and then screams again.
I love
that's
it.
the only
I
one
love
we
it.
need.
That's like one of my favorite parts of the movie. That should have been in my favorite scenes.
It's almost like she was wired to something, and James Whale shot
Right,
her
right,
off camera
exactly.
Yeah.
to get another
Yeah,
scream.
you're not making any noise.
There's a cattle prod
You're supposed to be
by her
screaming
heel.
again.
Like he doesn't make a whimper. He doesn't look at her like,
No.
"Oh, it's hurting." No, it's just like,
She just looks at him.
So I watched this with my wife, and she just looks at me and she's like, "Really?" And I can't wait to go home and be like, guess what Derek's favorite line of the movie when he's crying and she goes, "Ah!"
Lengthwise, perfect, right? An hour and
Yeah,
11
right in your
minutes. How do you
wheelhouse.
beat that shit? What's missing for me, honestly, are like interesting female characters, is what I put. Una is not, it's too much. And the girlfriend, she's not doing anything.
No.
She's
No.
really not doing
No,
anything.
she just blubbers to her dad.
I don't know.
Oh, father.
I don't
said
know,
she
right?
looks nice.
get you there.
She looks, but she looks amazing, which makes me think of like a movie from the 1930s. Give me a pretty girl, and that's plenty, right? As opposed to like a more fleshed out character. I don't know what the fuck Una does besides yell. She probably yells all the fucking time. So whether there's an invisible guy there or not, she's screaming as far as I can
she
tell.
sees a cockroach or an invisible
Yeah,
man.
she's just fucking yelling.
Same reaction.
It's Tuesday. She's screaming at something, you know? And Flora's just like this ditzy nothing of a character. Who's
Yeah.
Really, her first scene, I was like,
What did Jack ever see in her?
yeah. And when she came back, 'cause
Money.
there's like sections where like she's not even in the movie, and she came back, and I was like,
Oh,
right, you
her.
again. Like you're not bringing anything to this fucking movie.
Yeah.
Which
Agreed.
makes me feel bad. I don't know if it's the way that they wrote women then, or just maybe there was more for them that they just weren't able to convey, but it doesn't feel like there is a lot for them to work with. You know,
There really isn't a lot in a lot of those movies either. They all kind of have that similar performance. Some do it better than others, especially in the first few Universal ones from the 30s. You kind of get that wooden performance. But I feel like you get that from almost everybody in other than the monster.
Yeah.
You know, you have Dracula, who's a great, but everybody else in there is just kind of like there.
But then, right, so, and
except Dwight Fry.
The rest of the characters in the movie also seem kind of stale to me, but because there are only 2 women, it's just so much more glaring. And coming from having seen Psycho last week, where Marion Crane is she's fucking beautiful and really good, but she's also got a lot to work with. So it works. And,
she was very well written, and she could act the shit out of those lines.
Right,
too.
exactly. So
what I'm hearing is when you said, "Do you want to do the Invisible Man or Psycho?" I should have said Psycho.
Well,
see how
I guess
no. I prefer Psycho to this film. But
it's one of my favorite films.
What, Psycho?
Yeah. That's why I didn't go with it, because I was like, I haven't seen The Invisible Man in forever.
Well, okay.
So I forgot how good it was.
See that? It works.
It worked for Acid Josh.
It works for Mr.
Acid Josh. Yeah, I thought that was
you have to add the Mr.
I thought that was his dad. Perfect length. It's not too long or short for me at all. I could do without the screaming. That doesn't work. I already went into that. I don't really care about the other characters. They're fine because that's pretty much how all the characters were in those early Universal movies. So they don't bother me at all. It's like, okay, they're there. Just you get enough of the monster.
Hey, you want to make $6?
Yeah, come over here and look at the movie. But listen, the movie
$6 was like $500,000 in 1933.
Actually, buddy. You can get a lot out of that. The movie is called The Invisible Man. You get The Invisible Man. That's all I needed, and we have plenty of it.
Yeah,
so there you go.
Me? I mean, it's definitely short, but it crams a lot into what those 70 minutes. I do think that it has too much Flora stuff. I would have gotten rid of all of those characters in general, and I would have removed that stuff, and I would have maybe fleshed out the descent into madness a little bit more. Like it's awesome, but I do feel like it happens really quickly. He goes from 0 to 50 in the course of 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah. You only have a limited amount of time, though.
So what I like about it is because as soon as he kicks that door in.
Come in. Close the door. Freddie, do you suppose the Pentagon could send us a revolving door?
You can tell that he's like 3/4 of the way there.
Yeah.
Because he's already kind of like
and Flora's dad already says it too when they're talking to Kemp, when Kemp and him are talking about Jack, and he says, "Do you know about this? It was not iocane, it's monocaine."
Oh, dude, I was thinking the same thing.
It's like from
powder,
Princess Bride,
from Australia.
And he says, they don't use it anymore, because it's got certain properties of the blood, and he says he's probably already, is affected by it. So. Yeah, they kind of touch on it that he's already
pretty pissed off when he goes in there.
He's going insane.
Can I get some food? No, it's just like some food.
I love that. Give me some food, and he was like, "Okay, yeah, I'll eat whatever you bring. Just
leave me alone.
Just food.
Just bread and soup."
It was a wholesome time when you just asked for food.
Yeah, and
you're hungry? Yes, food, please.
Yeah.
Oh, here you go.
Draw the curtains.
I know. I was thinking that too. I'm like, what if he didn't like what she brought?
Doesn't matter. It's food.
Yeah.
What if it was meatloaf and it was awful? Like,
what if it was a meatloaf shaved hamburger?
What if it was? Yeah, I was gonna say. What if it was from Friendly's?
The kitchen's closed. I have to run out to Friendly's.
You can hear her screaming she's out in the snow.
That's a really good impression of her.
It's just mustard, sir.
Please don't do that again.
Josh is like, I have headphones on, damn it.
Anything else, Derek?
No, that's it.
Shit.
Without the score.
Without the score, if you remove the music score, does the film hold up?
Yeah. I think you could put whatever music that you want. I think the movie would still hold up.
Yeah, I liked a lot of the silence in this.
Yeah.
Like the wind and the background noise.
Agreed.
So I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I was thinking this. If there was music, I don't remember any of it because there were points where I was like, I don't think I've heard any music this entire film. So yes, for a movie that I thought was okay, I think it holds up, and it probably would take away from Claude Raines' performance if there was.
Yeah, no. The music, I mean, I know the intro music, and I like that, but...
how does it stack up?
It's high. As far as Universal monster movies go, it's very high.
Rock and roll.
Rock and roll.
Rock and roll.
Josh? I've always liked this movie.
It's up there for you.
Yeah.
As far as Universal monster movies go?
Well, nothing will beat the creature, but that's close. Close.
Agreed.
What about Invisible Man movies?
Hey, you know what? I got the box set, and I don't remember the rest of them. So I'm but I wouldn't watch them before I came on because I didn't want to muddle the story in the story.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to.
There have been many versions of this film, like all the way up to now with the Elizabeth Moss one that came out about 5 years ago. And this one is still way up there. I love Claude Raines' performance in this movie.
Yeah, not as good as John Cena.
Not as good as John Cena.
The five knuckle shuffle. Fuck yeah. Attitude adjustments. I mean, honestly, I have no frame of reference for Universal. This is the first Universal monster movie I've ever seen.
You never saw Frankenstein?
Nope, I've never seen
Dracula.
Any of them.
Wow.
I've seen clips and bits and things like that, but I've
we're
never
gonna have to
actually
change
sat
that.
down and watched the Universal monster film. Until recently. As far as Invisible Man movies go, I think it's okay. There are newer ones that I grew up with that I like more.
I didn't expect that out of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I figure a guy with a Sharkula poster in his house have watched
I had
all
to
the
put it
Universal.
over. Yeah.
Sharkula.
It's priorities.
Sharkula bed sheets.
It did have a girl twirling fire.
It did.
Which this movie did not.
No.
So I'll give her that.
I'm going to bring that up every time I come on this show.
should.
For the
It's
rest
fucking
of- every time I see you, Tito.
Every time I try to forget about it, you're gonna bring it up.
Just when I think I'm out, Josh pulls me back in.
Back in.
I'm just going to start texting him like pictures of
Oh, he'll like that. The girl?
The girl twirling fire? Absolutely.
Yeah,
It's
Tito will
the
have a
stock
whole
footage.
album of that. Sure.
It's true. It'll pop up in my Google memories.
It's for James Whale movies, it's at the top. For Universal Monsters, it's in the middle. It's an awesome film, but if you're comparing it to other monster movies, there are more I like.
Give me another James Whale movie.
Bride of Frankenstein, Old Dark House, Showboat, which is out of left field. It's a musical. And he made a song. What the hell was the one that he made?
That's fine.
Did a war thing. That's basically what you've got.
Okay.
Yes. But for Invisible Man movies, it's at the top. It's still one of the best.
All right.
I have it at high middle for Universal movies, and middle of the road for Invisible Man flicks. And I'll get to it if you like this, then try.
All right. Yeah, I got some.
I've got some good.
If the movie had a post-credit scene.
No, I don't think it needs one.
Yeah.
He dies, and that's it. That's the way it should end.
No.
I'm in the same boat.
Yeah. I thought it might be cool if Flora took the formula and then she turned invisible.
So she
And just went the fuck away.
Oh.
I mean, maybe she gets like.
What about Una O'Connor finds the formula? and you can find her by her
It doesn't
scream.
work because
she should have died in the fire in the barn. That's what should have happened to her. Yeah.
There's someone screaming in my barn.
I don't know. I thought it'd be cool if like a sequel was the Flora, the Invisible Woman, or whatever. And
There is an
Invisible Woman
is
sequel.
it
yes.
Flora?
No, it's not Flora.
No.
I don't know. Maybe they give her something more to work with.
Into it.
Oh, sorry.
I got the rest of them. So.
Spoilers.
What's our thing again?
Post-credit?
No, I didn't really have anything. Maybe a laugh after the end of the movie. Just one of his laughs.
Oh.
You know, just for fun. Like, I'll be back. I'm not dead yet.
Like Skeletor at the end of Masters of the Universe.
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
gotcha.
Or Pennywise at the end of it.
Yeah.
Remember when the credit,
yeah.
but you still hear the Tim Curry laugh? A little something to remind
I would just have a shot of someone finding the notes and the chemicals, because they made all these continuations and stuff, but I hate when they have to shoehorn like, oh, how they like, all right, we made the second one, how are we going to explain why, like how this came about? I like when you kind of tease, you know, all right, if we're going to make more of these, let's have someone find the chemicals, and that's how you know.
For sure. Is there a better ending?
No.
No, Brian starts.
No, like I said, I think it ended fine.
Joshua?
Yeah,
Better
I
ending?
like the ending.
I like the ending too.
I like
it's a
the
good way
ending.
to end the movie.
It's fine.
Fools, all of you.
There's a
We
better
should
way.
have ended with screaming.
I would.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have killed him off completely, honestly. I when he's there's a shot of him in the bed and she's next to him, and I would have had it end in the hospital with them finding a pillow under the sheets,
Yeah.
or something, having been fooled to think that he was just invisible in there, and that's why they couldn't see him. But he had actually snuck out,
Or
so that way in actuality he'd escaped and he could continue his reign of terror.
Or you find out that he left and hooked up with the lady from the bar.
Oh, Una.
Yeah.
In the butt.
Yeah, in the butt.
I would like you to bring me mustard.
And that's where all the screaming
To put in your butt.
Yes.
She got the mustard, and
He's got the mayo. There you go. I said it.
It's on par though with like the concept of like the comedy or the tragedy, right? Or like all
Right.
those movies either end happy or they end
Oh,
fucking
totally.
sad,
Yeah.
right? It's only
Never ends well for
when
the monsters.
like at what point in cinema did it get that? I don't want to say clever, but where it was like how we'll leave it a little open ended,
I think after all these franchise things happened, where people were like, the studios saw how much money they could make by continuing things, and then they're like, oh well, we can't kill the guy off,
I'll leave a little something,
right?
Yeah. It's true.
And like Psycho's a good example.
Psycho's a great
I mean, it's
example.
in the '60s, and they left him alive.
Yeah.
And of course, they brought him back for 3 more. So.
Or the best example
That
is
works so
Quilt
well.
Face. Have you ever seen Quilt Face?
Twice
No.
actually.
Yeah.
No.
I was gonna
Leaves
say,
it
Never
wide
seen
open
Quilt
at the
Face,
end.
no.
Wide open. You don't know what happens.
I sleep with a quilt sometimes.
wide open.
In the
Wide
face.
the fuck open. You better believe it. Spread out like mustard.
We are going to find that movie.
Quilt face?
Oh, it's as good as Manos.
Oh,
wow.
Oh, challenge accepted.
I'm always fucking awful.
The master would be quite.
We're going to watch Quilt Face.
Shaky bastard. Rest in peace, that guy, right?
Yeah.
He had a tough life. He had a tough life.
Torgo.
Torgo, not
Torgo.
Torgo. Torgo.
Torgo.
I
Torgo,
said
yeah.
Torco.
Poor guy. He was giving it his
Urko.
all in that movie.
I'm
I'll give it to
sorry.
him. If you like this movie, you might also like.
Any of the Invisible Man sequels, Memoirs of an Invisible Man, the Invisible Man movie that I mentioned from a few years ago with Elizabeth Moss. There was an Invisible Man
seen that.
TV show on the Sci-Fi Channel. It
remember
came
that.
out in 2000. Do you remember that?
too. Yeah.
Vincent Ventresca, I think it starred.
Ventresca.
Yeah, but he was like kind of like the Invisible Agent. Remember the sequel to this movie?
do remember that one.
Where he had they gave him this stuff called the Quicksilver, and it made him invisible, and he was kind of an invisible secret agent.
Fucking show.
Yeah, it was really good. Lasted 2 seasons. It was fun.
Yep.
It was a very fun show.
Yes,
So I got a bootleg version of The Invisible Dead when I was like 12 or 13.
Oh.
Yeah, I watched that a lot.
The Invisible Dead.
So if we can find it, we should watch it.
Yeah, it was like this invisible gorilla, and it was just like naked women through the whole thing.
All right.
So like
What,
Hollow
Gorilla
Man,
Dead?
there's an invisible gorilla in Hollow Man.
Yeah, and you see the gorilla at the end.
Oh yeah, Hollow Man. That's
Spoilers.
another good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kevin Bacon.
All my.
Yeah, well, let's not talk
Sorry,
about that one.
sorry.
Yeah, I went there too.
What's that?
Let's not talk about Hollow Man.
You don't like it?
Yeah, I didn't.
I like
didn't
Hollow
like
Man.
You didn't like
I do.
not
I got
an
a soft
Elizabeth
spot
Shue
for it.
guy?
Elizabeth
No.
Shue.
No. What about Josh Brolin? You like Josh
Oh,
Brolin?
Thanos.
No, Kevin
Kevin Bacon.
Well,
He saved
Bacon-
an entire town
He totally
Yeah,
did.
Bacon's okay.
Through dance.
through dance.
Interpretive dance.
Through dance.
Gino, what do you recommend, sir?
Is Footloose still the greatest movie ever? It never was.
I have Hollow Man on here. Memoirs of the Invisible Man, the Chevy Chase film. The Carpenter one. I actually really like that movie. The Invisible Kid with Jay Underwood. You ever see it?
Oh yeah,
I
yep.
fucking love that
The
movie.
Human Torch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He figures out how to turn invisible and hijinks ensue.
Is he also the boy who could fly?
The Boy Who Could Fly. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
He was also not.
He had all
quite
kinds
human.
of superpowers, huh?
Yeah. I haven't seen the Elizabeth Moss movie yet.
Superman made comics about me.
Right.
Yeah, let's see. I got The Invisible Man Returns, The Invisible Man's Revenge, right? Did he have a revenge?
Yeah, I
The
think so,
Invisible
yeah.
Woman, The Invisible Agent, Invisible Mom, starring Dee Wallace.
Frankenstein meets the Invisible Man. Right?
He never met the Invisible
Who
Man.
met him?
Abbott and Costello met the Invisible Man.
Yeah, Abbott and
They're
Costello.
the
Abbott
only
and
ones.
Costello
Just the
meet
two of them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just those
Yeah.
two knuckleheads. Oh,
Those two knuckleheads.
They never met the creature, though.
Although the Invisible Man does show up at the very end of Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein.
He does, yeah.
okay.
He's
At
in
the
the
very
boat.
end. And he is,
Maybe that's what I was thinking of.
he's in the boat. And that's Vincent Price doing his voice
And he
before he played the Invisible Man in the Invisible Man Returns.
Yeah.
That's super.
Claude Raines only played him one time.
Only one
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
And if you like,
Yeah,
and if you like Claude Raines, see Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, Casablanca, just to name a few. The Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah.
where he
Yeah,
plays the
the
Phantom,
1920
and he is
something.
No, it was
phenomenal
after
in that one too.
Yeah, because this was 33 and
Yeah, no, that was.
I thought.
yeah,
Oh, that's right.
that was Lon Chaney.
Yeah, just to name a few,
right.
and he's in many others. Awesome actor. He's in Robin Hood with Errol Flynn.
Oh, Errol Flynn. I know that guy.
You know that guy? He owes you money. All right.
$7.
And also, like Derek, I'll let you recommend this one.
What, Hollow Man?
I took all your other ones. Yeah, go.
Yeah, I like Hollow Man. I don't care.
The Hollow Man is
and the
awesome.
2020 Invisible Man and Memoirs. I think those are all great flicks.
Yep.
And yeah,
I Dream of the Bacon.
Wow.
He's so
That's a
angry
movie?
in that movie.
he is, and they're good.
It makes sense having seen this movie.
Well, because he
Right.
doesn't
Why
sleep,
he's so
and
fucking
all he does
angry.
is eat Twinkies. That's going to ruin everybody's night after a while.
That's true.
They're good forever, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Award for What Are You Doing in This Movie?
Whoa, hold on. I lost my notes.
Oh,
boy.
Give me a second. What are you doing in this movie? I put Gloria Stewart. She survived long enough to taunt Bill Paxton by throwing the jewel into the ocean after he was kind enough to fly her and her granddaughter out to the research vessel so he could listen to her boring-ass story about how she was in possession of this treasure that he'd been seeking, only to find out that she still had the fucking thing on her the whole time, and then she throws it overboard.
I thought the old lady threw it in the ocean. He did, baby, and I went in and got it.
Yeah, still as annoying as she was in this movie. In Titanic.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Josh?
You got one? Anybody
Yeah, I
in this movie stand
didn't
up?
prepare that one.
You can take mine and Brian's. It's I put Gloria Stewart, that bitch Rose. There was plenty of room on the door.
Yeah.
And yeah, just give him the fucking jewel, man.
Yeah.
What the fuck's your problem?
Yep. What are you
You
gonna
killed
do
him
with
and then you stole his last name. I'm not okay with that. Not okay with that.
I put Gloria Stewart as well because I remember when I first saw it and said, "Oh, it's the old lady from Titanic." And that's it. It's not as clever as your stories, but that's all I had.
I did not because I knew that she had been in this movie. I went with Henry Travers, I mentioned earlier, Clarence, and just he plays dopey Dr. Cranley.
You're not nice.
He always has a stupid expression on his face, and it's just goofy. But Walter Brennan makes an appearance in
That's
this
right,
movie.
he does.
He does.
And those who don't know, Walter Brennan was in one of my favorite westerns, Rio Bravo. He plays Stumpy, and he is hilarious. And he's the greatest. He plays the bicycle owner in this, and that's what he's. And he actually, I believe
guy
it
who
was
gets the bike
uncredited.
stolen?
I don't think he's mentioned in the credits, but he's on IMDb. But yeah, he's great. And if you ever get a chance to I don't know if it's on Spotify or not, but check out the song "Old Man Rivers," and he does it. He does the intro for it, and it's hilarious.
Along with Yoko Ono. Dwight Fry has a cameo in that movie too. If something doesn't work for me in this movie, it's not enough Dwight Fry playing a crazy character.
Yeah, that's right.
I feel like he needed a bigger part because James Whale uses him for everything and gives him a shitty
I know, 2 lines.
2 lines in this.
Yeah.
Where he could have done something awesome. He could have been another terrific character.
Who's he in the movie?
He's just a guy. He's
Yeah.
just a townsfolk who has 2 lines.
He's asking questions and when the
what's going on? Yeah, that's Renfield.
So I know he
from
was in.
Dracula.
Yeah, he's Renfield, and he was in
Fritz.
He was in both Bride and regular
Right, as 2
Frankenstein.
different characters.
Was he in Creature and Jekyll? Was he in all of them?
No.
No.
Okay.
Nope.
So he's the Michael. Yeah, he's the Michael Ripper.
He's
of-
Michael Ripper for mostly Todd Browning and James
Whale.
Whale.
Gotcha.
But he does show up in a lot of the
Frankenstein meets the Wolfman. He has a
Yeah,
part in that.
yeah, and he's in the Vampire Bat.
Yes.
He's very good in that.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
MVP?
Brian, MVP.
MVP. Claude Raines, of course. He's such a presence in this film. Despite only seeing his face in the final few seconds, he conveys such menace with just his voice.
Very nice.
This one's easy for me.
Una.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
No, Claude. I'm gonna give it to
Yeah,
Claude
Claude
Raines. Yeah. He wins the show. She's a close second, though.
I love Claude Raines. I'm going to give it to the effects, though. I absolutely love the effects. In this one. Claude Raines is incredible.
They're groundbreaking.
It's like neck and neck. But
That's
when I
fair.
think Invisible Man, I think of how awesome the effects are.
Yeah.
I too went with the effects. John P. Fulton for the special effects.
Fulton.
Although I will honestly say that Una is my close second.
Yeah.
Wow.
To me, she lights up the screen Cracks me up every time she's.
It is the best policy.
It is. Laughter.
Honesty.
Or screaming.
Honesty. Yes, and laughter's the best medicine.
Laughter's the best medicine.
Yeah. It's a win-win.
So you haven't seen The Bride of Frankenstein?
I have.
Oh, you have?
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, and I recognize her from that.
Okay.
It's like, oh.
Because when she's in The Bride of Frankenstein...
You're right. She doesn't do as much screaming in that.
No, she doesn't. But all I can see is Frau Blucher. It's amazing how they patterned Frau Blucher after her.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
funny.
funny.
Fuzz
Yeah.
by
That's
boyfriend.
She's funnier in The Bride of Frankenstein. You know,
You think so?
O'Connor is. I think she's funnier in The Bride of Frankenstein.
I think she's a riot in this.
I think she's.
I mean, she's supposed to be funny, right?
She is.
Or just-
She's not meant to be
it's just-
serious. You're not meant to take her seriously.
Yeah,
No.
right. That's the
Faux
impression I
show.
got.
Yeah.
I just didn't like
Boston.
So
how
I have
loud
a
it
serious question.
Yeah, for me.
Is
Of
your
course.
wife okay with a giant picture of her over your bed? You're like, honey, just yell. Just yell, honey.
Painted in mustard.
Just say, here's your mustard.
How did you know we got a copy of that? I gave that to you in confidence. I got one of B. Arthur. Don't feel bad.
Nice.
Yeah,
Who doesn't? Who doesn't?
Yeah.
I definitely don't.
Me.
I don't have any pictures over my bed.
No.
Invisible
You
Man.
gotta
That's
get one
Invisible
of those,
Man.
those velvet
Wow.
ones, those velvet portraits.
So that's
Scatman
Invisible Man.
Carruthers.
Thumbs up.
Shining.
We got a thumbs up from a lot of people.
Yeah.
We get an okay from Tito, but overall enjoyable, worth checking out. Yes. Does
Yes.
anybody?
For the effects, for Claude Raines' performance, absolutely.
All right, cool.
That's
All
worth
right.
a watch.
All right.
Absolutely.
Go with that. Well, then, I think it's time we talk about a geek flag. What's making it? We got a special geek flag
the
making
geek
our
flag today.
geek flag fly.
That's right.
And it's on account of our guest and his sexiness.
You've been talking about it for weeks.
I know.
Yeah.
We've been bringing
Now
it
we've
up,
got him
Josh.
We got the man himself.
Give us a taste of what we can expect on March 23rd.
Oh, man. So at this point, I had a few authors cancel, so I have 30 right now. Like 30 legit
And this is for those who haven't heard the past episodes.
Yes.
This is
Yeah, give us what it
the,
is.
the
This is
Horror Depot.
Horror Depot's Author Con.
Thank you.
March 23rd at Rhode Island College Student Union. When you walk in, you actually walk in on the second floor, so it's the third floor.
All right.
I tell everybody the second floor, but it's actually the third.
My building at work is like that too. It
Yeah,
fucks me
it
up.
drives me
To
nuts.
I've been there 10 years. It
But
fucks me up to this day.
There's a cafe on the bottom, so that's why it's the first floor is the cafe. Then the second floor, you walk in. So parking's available at the college, not in front of the student union because that's where all the authors will park, but the parking lot J. Like when you pull in, you'll see HIJK all the way up, and you can park from J down. So all that parking is open.
Cool.
It's $5 to get in, $3 if you have any student ID, and then I have a side room for presentations, but they only gave me from 2 to 6, so, and it goes from 11 to 6. So I have like 30 authors want to do like presentations, and some of them don't get to,
man.
which sucks. But
How do you pick and choose? Are we going to have tryouts?
you know what? It was kind of like the
break a
first
pool
come,
cue in
first serve.
half and have at it, boys.
Yeah, it was honestly like kind of first come, first serve. I wanted to do a comic one with Mark, but then my other comic guys.
But then he read the
backed out.
comics.
It's like, oh, you know what? I'm really sorry.
There's no room.
I thought you were this guy.
Yeah, and there's this guy who's this is really interesting. So the lineup so far, I haven't announced it yet, but I have Tom DeGastino, the supernatural investigator.
Okay.
He's like the supernatural investigator. He's written like I think 17 books on the haunted history of New England.
Nice.
So he's got a presentation and a Q&A from 2 to 3. Then from 3 to 4, I have a Splatterpunk panel with Christopher Trina and Aaron Beauregard, who are both Splatterpunk Award winners. Then, John Lynch is nominated this year, so he's going to be on the panel as well.
Nice.
So that's going to be from 3 to 4. And then from 4 to 4:30, I have Ray Johnson doing RPG and horror, because he wrote an RPG horror book, and like no one knows what RPG is.
I do.
we
So
know.
he's well, I didn't know.
We're with you.
But he wrote the Nightmare game system, and I absolutely love it. One of the best books I've ever read, actually.
Cool.
And he's a really good friend of mine. He's coming from Ohio.
All right.
Cool.
So is he
Yeah.
the furthest one?
Yes.
Because we were talking before, and you said
Yeah.
it's mostly
So-
people in and around New England.
He's the furthest one coming from Ohio. He was going to stay at my house, but he's bringing his son.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, my son, he's got autism, so he always gets a hotel. And this is the second time he's come to one of my events from Ohio.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
So I'm pretty psyched. And because he came out here on his dime, he's like, can I do a presentation? I'm like, what am I going to say? No.
Yeah, exactly.
No, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Coming all the way from Ohio.
Yeah.
And it's such a unique presentation that I feel like people could benefit from it.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely want. You know,
That's awesome.
And then I have this guy, David Shurins. He wrote the book Refuge, and he's going to do a talk on political horror.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I'm pretty excited about that because I've only read one political horror book
Mm-hmm.
in my life. So it is like this untapped.
Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter.
I did read that too.
I did too.
Yeah. This one was a collection of shorts, and it was really interesting. Political horror, I think, is really a niche of a product that, like, you know, you can look anywhere and see political
Absolutely.
horror.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
for sure.
like you were talking about it with The Invisible Man, where the monsters were next Hitler, and
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
And that's political horror.
He had
so-
designs on taking over the world. So, I mean,
yeah, I'm really interested to see how that goes. Politics is such a touchy subject
It is, yeah.
that I'm really interested to see how this plays out.
Oh.
And I think the fact that it's political horror will either attract a lot of people or deter a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's going to be a 50-50.
It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, as of right now, because I only have from 2 to 6, I have to, like, cram. And then I have Carl Johnson, who's also a paranormal investigator. He wants to do a 15-minute thing. So I might give him the end. So open with paranormal and end with paranormal.
Nice. Kind of like bookends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was
Keeping
thinking.
with the theme.
If I do have extra time, I might be able to squeeze somebody in, but I don't think I will. You know, I have to have time for people to get in and out. as well.
Right.
Yeah.
And of course, we're recording everything, so I have to have the setup and the people to do it.
Quite an undertaking, man.
Yeah.
What made you decide to do an author con? Because you've done, well, I mean, you've done other
Dark
cons
Arts
before. You
Fest
did
and-
you're right, exactly.
Yeah.
You've done horror screenings and stuff, which are all fun. I mean, we've been to a few of them, and it's never a bad time.
Yeah.
So, but what this is the first time you've done anything like this, is it?
Yeah, it's the first time it's ever really. They have one in Virginia
Okay.
that happens. This is the third time in Virginia.
All right. So,
But we don't have anything here.
No,
per se.
no. Is
So,
is that what inspired you to do that? Did you?
No, I read a lot. I read like 100 books a year.
Okay.
And there's a
That's my goal.
lot
Good
of
for you.
horror authors around.
Oh yeah.
I notice them a lot. Like, you know, the Monster Expo, there were a bunch. And
Yeah.
So
And at the Dark Arts Festival.
You know what's funny? Like, I know a lot of horror authors, right? And when you go to an event, what you see is like, you know, I have 30 authors, and I have a side room with all these panels. What you don't see is the 300 authors that I reached out to or that were like, this is your first event, fuck you, I'm not going.
Yeah.
You know, that's what you don't see.
Yeah.
So a
fuck you,
lot
Stephen
of the
King.
yeah,
Yeah.
Dean, you're too good for me.
fucking Dean Koontz.
Nobody wants Dean Koontz.
I know.
Not even Dean Koontz.
So the people that know me, they're the ones like that know me personally. They're the ones that know that what I can do, and they're like, we're on board.
Yeah.
Like Aaron Beauregard's a huge writer,
Right.
Like he is full-time writing. That is his job, and I've been helping promote him since Try the New Candy like 4 years ago was his first book, and we've become friends over the years. So he lives in the same town. We text back and forth, not as much anymore because he's always writing.
Yeah.
He's always busy, and his caliber of people he hangs out with has gone from like, you know, me to Wrath James White, who was like a legend in splatterpunk. You know what I mean? So
What is that splatterpunk? You mentioned that earlier.
it is super gory horror. Some of it sucks, but some of it's really visceral imagery in the story, and it's really, I think it's hard to do to make it that way. But if you picture the worst Stephen King, and the whole book on that, just over the top blood and guts,
Okay.
but in a story.
But in a story. Okay, interesting.
And I hate to say some of it that I read, I'm like, they're just blood and guts for blood and guts.
Yeah.
But then you get
Just for
a
the
guy
sake of
like
it.
him who writes solid fucking stories. Like just solid stories, and you're like, wow, this is twisted.
Yeah.
And those are the ones I really like. So once I told him, he jumped on right away, and he got like 2 or 3 other splatterpunk writers, like, boom, done. But then there's people that I see at conventions all the time, and I'm like, hey, I'm doing a author con. Remember I told you about it? They're like, yeah, I'm busy. Like, okay, what are you doing? Unread.
Damn.
I'm walking my dog.
That's fucking
Yeah, so that's
Is he going to be there?
No, he's a filmmaker.
John. No. I actually
he could come to the thing. You know,
I've tried to reach out to him since we did the his wife
the screening.
We did the screening
yeah.
for his wife. I don't know if they were happy with the turnout.
Oh.
So there's the other thing people don't see. People love you,
but we were
they're
there.
Successful.
Yeah.
He gave us a hug.
Yeah, we hit it off.
And I really like both of them. It could be that they're busy. I know they were working on a film too.
Tell them I said to get over here. Listen to me.
And I don't chase people down anymore.
Yeah.
Like I'm so busy. Like people don't realize like I'm a one-man show. So I'm doing all the marketing. I made the website. I have to maintain the website. I have to like make all the pictures. I have to contact everybody. I have to make sure everything's good with the state and everything's good with the venue. And it's a lot of fucking work.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Because I remember like when we did the Dark Arts Festival, I mean, you were nonstop, man.
Right.
Every 2 minutes I'd look up and like, there goes Josh, he's off to the left, and look up again, and there goes Josh, he's off to the right.
Well, that was different. I had a check-in, and the place itself didn't let me utilize my check-in spot, and they just took all the vendors. So I have, like in Rhode Island, you need a promoter's license, which I have, and they give you tax paperwork, which you have to hand out, and then you have to collect it. It's really easy stuff, but I have to do it.
Right.
So that day I was like, I have a check-in, make sure they come here. And the manager was like, okay. But then all the kids just started taking all the people. And I was like, ah.
Yeah.
So I was running the Q&A sessions the whole time. So I was running back and forth. And I was like, never again.
Yeah.
Never again. So, this is the first time, like, my wife was there for the Dark Arts Festival. And something happened there. And I was like, I never want you at the door ever again. Like, that's not going to happen.
Oh, wow.
That is a story for
off air.
Off air.
Yeah.
So, and there's also food.
Good.
Downstairs might not be open, but they are keeping the building next door open. So food will be available throughout the entire run of the convention. So that's nice.
Good.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
That's good.
Awesome.
How do you get like
Excited for it.
involved, or how do you even know that Rick has available space where you can do something like that?
I didn't.
Oh, okay.
So there's the other thing. I must have called 30 to 40 venues before I got to the college. And then I was like, hey, I'm looking to do this. And the college was like, okay, let me get back to you. And they looked me up online. They saw, obviously, like my history of events. And once they see that, they're like, all right, he's done events, so he knows how to do them. And they're like, it's an author con. So, of course, they're and even if it is a horror.
Scholastic.
Yeah, right.
For sure.
So they actually, they're still working with me.
Good.
They're giving me a login for the classroom so I can do the presentations. They
nice.
did want me to do the presentations in the auditorium, but it was like...
Be too crowded.
Too much.
Yeah, the middle of the room is surrounded by speakers, like it's open in the middle, and there's a screen that comes down, and like I could do presentations, but people would literally walk in and be in the middle of it. Yeah.
Like...
And then people are selling their books. So do you really want people walking around talking while the presentation's going on in the middle?
Right.
Because then the people on the... I've seen these at conventions, and they're awful. They're awful. Because you can't concentrate either inside or outside of the presentation.
Yeah. And it's tough. And in those situations, a lot of the times, I know, Mark has the experience of trying to sell himself to people. And if you can't hear what the person's saying, you might not miss something, or you may not have that opportunity to make the sale or make the connection that will get other
just
people
move
to,
on.
to keep coming or remember you. Right. So it's,
Yeah.
that can be tricky.
And what I do like here is I have a wide variety. So it's not just horror. I have like sci-fi. I have a political. I have a comic. You know what I mean? There, even though it's a horror comic, there's still like a representation of comics.
Yeah, it's a little something for everybody.
Yeah. So I had an anime guy who did an anime comic, and he backed out. I was I could have had the anime people.
Yep.
Yeah.
Those people spend money.
Yeah, they do.
Manga.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hentai.
But you know what? So yeah, and
Tentacles everywhere.
I'm sorry.
tentacles. And then in finding the authors themselves, that's another beautiful thing, because now I have an award winner here, right next to somebody who literally has not done anything. Just got her first book.
Yeah.
Like hasn't even sold the book yet. And she's going to be at the author con.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So that's exciting.
I would say, like, as an outsider, but seeing that community, or being in a position where you can, even if maybe you don't have a successful event as an author, you are still finding yourself in a room with established people that can help you become a little bit more successful moving forward. Getting to talk to people. Right. How long have you been doing this? What's working for you? What's not working for you?
And out of 30, the 30 that I do have now, I'm sure like there's 2 I didn't even drop yet, and that's Tom D'Agostino and Carl Johnson. I haven't even announced them yet, but there's so many authors in there. What's going to happen is people are going to walk to other tables in the quiet time, and they're going to be like, hey, I heard about your book, or hey, this looks interesting. And they're going to end up buying each other's books, because that's what always happens.
It's cross promotion.
And I'm pretty excited about that. And then next year you'll see like the people that sat next to each other, they'll be working on a project together.
That's awesome.
That's what I'm hoping
cool.
for.
Yeah, that's cool.
So
did you feel like this was like an untapped situation? I don't want to say that like reading isn't. As someone who only reads comics, I don't read a lot of books. And I read my comics. I buy them and I store them and I read them digitally. Is this like an underrepresented, you feel like, community right now? At least?
Yeah, online is huge.
Yeah.
But I mean, the only other, there's Scares That Care, but that's, I don't know where it is, not anywhere near here. And then there's the horror authorcon in Virginia. Yeah. But that's like, 8 hours away or something, 10 hours from here. So honestly, there's nothing really, like there is ARIA, so they do ARIA conventions, but those are like so diverse. It's everything, and it's mainly writers kissing writers' asses. Whereas I wanted something more niche for the people that I know read like the niche. You know what I mean?
And appreciate this stuff.
So I don't mind a few outside the genre things here and there, because it is going to be in a college. So those college kids might not like horror, but there might be a sci-fi junkie or a fantasy junkie
or a political junkie.
Or a political junkie. That ought to be really interesting.
Yeah.
So RPG is something that I'm not familiar with, except through Ray Johnson. So I'm really interested to see what would happen if I were to advertise an RPG and horror presentation.
Role-playing games.
It is what I think we're talking about.
Like Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay. I was all
those
sure I know what we're talking about, but
all those tabletop games have a lot of like literature that goes along with them.
Right. Story-based,
and there's a lot of them that have spin-offs of like, authors that kind of take the story and run with it and be like, and make their own, like Cyberpunk 2077.
Vampire the Masquerade.
Vampire, is a big one.
So he actually does an RPG podcast, but hardly ever are there RPG horror books. And I think he's the only one that I know of that's ever done it. So I find it fascinating. But I like that kind of thing. So that's what I like. And it's weird. Other people, like there's a lady on TikTok. I just talked to her like yesterday, and she made a video of the convention and put it on her TikTok, and it's got like hundreds and hundreds of views.
Nice.
Awesome.
And she just shared it. And all these other authors are now sharing it.
And that's what it's all about.
That's cool.
Like, it's really like all the
networking
and
spreading the word.
I'm telling you, I don't know anybody that is as good about networking as you are.
Absolutely, brother.
Honestly, I've said it a million times. Like whenever we bring you up, you really care about the environment, not the environment like trees and shit, but like
obviously he's into books.
But the genres and the people that create, and I just think it's awesome of you.
Well, you know what? That's the whole business plan. Eventually, is to have an online source where all these people can sell their stuff in a niche market. And I'm smart enough to know the niche markets, and my advertising obviously proves that, you know. So last year it was like pulling teeth to get vendors to the Dark Arts Festival. Right? I made one post this year. It only had like 20 likes, but I have over 50 applications for vendors. Right?
What a difference.
Yeah,
what a difference, man.
So last year I was pulling teeth to get 55, and 5 people didn't show up.
Yeah.
This year I made one post, and I've got 50 out of the gate. So I'm like, I haven't even gotten back to them because I'm still working with the contract for Battlegrounds.
Yeah.
So this year it's going to be a little more pricey. Last year I think I charged like 100. I did give free tables to some people, like, you know, all my nonprofits, a few differently abled individuals. I'm like, all right, I have like allotted of like 5 or 6 free tables that I can give away and still make a profit. Right. So those are like the nonprofit tables. And then this year they are asking for more money. Yeah. And I have to up the price to accommodate.
Who's asking for more money?
Battlegrounds
team?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, they actually took a loss because they didn't run the, what is that, the airsoft range?
Oh, yeah.
So they did take a
got the
loss.
you can
And
shoot
they
the
bought
guns
a
and
lot
stuff.
of food. But they didn't have a lot of signs for the food.
Yeah.
So like that was the trial run last year. This year, the Dark Arts Festival is like the real festival.
Yeah.
So, and the same thing with the AuthorCon. This is the trial run of the AuthorCon. So everyone that blew me off this year, I guarantee you next year, if this goes well, they're going to be like, as soon as it's over, I'll get messages the next day. When are you going to do that again?
Yeah.
I couldn't make it. My dog was...
I was walking my dog.
My dog was walking me.
like
My dog walked off with my phone.
Awesome. I needed to felch the dogs. So we'll see how it works. But and of course I'm nervous because I have to sell tickets.
Right.
Yeah, good stuff.
Looking forward
man.
to it, though.
Cool.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, it sounds like it's a real passion project for you, too. I had no idea you were so much into reading and books.
Oh,
you know?
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
We know you as the film guy, you know. And this is a whole other side, you know. That's
You're
why I was
cultured,
curious.
man.
Yeah, so
I'm like,
That's fundamental.
that's why I was like, why author?
Reading is
You know, I mean,
fundamental.
it's
Yeah,
great,
that's
but
right.
I mean,
That's
why'd you get into it? I had no idea.
Yeah.
Now I know.
And now you know,
So here's
sir.
the story. I used to buy comics all the time, and I liked comics because I didn't know how to read, but I could still get the story. Right?
Yeah.
So, and I loved it. And I would talk to everybody else in the comic book stores and get the story and then look it up to get the full story. And that's how I would read. Like I taught my son how to read, and we went through every book in the library. I stayed home. I ran a business from home, and all I did was read
Wow.
with him. So then I was like, you know what? I need to set a goal. And every year for the past like 5 years, I have read 100 books a year.
Good for
That's
you.
awesome.
So far this year, I think I'm 20 books in.
Nice.
So yeah,
That's great.
Yeah.
I set a goal and I go for it. Like there's no stopping me if I have. And every day I have my list of goals, and I'm like, I want to get there today. You know?
Yeah.
You can.
Derek's like, I looked at 100 Playboys today.
He reads them for the article.
Dear Penthouse.
It happened again.
Happened to me. You do read a lot, though.
I do.
For
I do,
real,
especially now.
You are a bookworm.
Because there's an app now that it's called Canopy. It's not Canopy, Libby, and it links
I got
to
it.
links to your library, so you can download books constantly on your iPad or your Kindle, and so I definitely read a lot more now, but a lot of other stuff too. I mean,
I can't believe you stuck with it. So for me, it was the opposite. Like I never read, and once I did learn to read, I was like, oh my God, this is what I'm missing out on.
Right.
And then I never stopped.
No, and it's and it's been a while. Like before, I'd say maybe like last year or the year before is when I really started getting back into reading more. It had been a long time since I had read like that, because I do you get distracted by life in general, but then and then trying to stay up on top of like shows that are out and movies and video games. Like it's I think about it a lot about like doing this podcast. Like we kind of try to keep our thumbs on the pulse of pop culture or on what's going on and stay in the know, and it's hard. It's hard to keep. There's a huge overexposure of things that are available. So it's, as I've gotten older, you kind of have to get more choosy, picky and choosy about what you are going to spend your time on, because it's not like you don't have an endless supply of time anymore.
Yeah.
And
so I think too, like,
not now.
it's funny you say that, because remember when we first started the podcast and we were like trying to, every week we were looking at stuff and like, oh, we got to keep this current, we got to keep this current. And then there was like every other person, especially when the pandemic happened, started a podcast doing the exact same thing. We're like, fuck that, we're just going to do our own shit.
Yeah,
We're just going to focus on the movies we like, and we're just going to talk
everybody
about what
else
we
was
want.
just saying the same thing. You know?
And I love that, like, now like the four of us, and when we have guests, like, we bring things to each other now. Like, we're all about kind of like bringing things that the others haven't necessarily seen. Or, you're right. Like, everybody under the sun does all the.
So we're just gonna do our own thing.
Like, let's do a Madam Web episode,
I can't wait to do. We should drink. We got to drink till it's good.
We should do a drink till it's good double feature with Aquaman,
that and Aquaman too.
Awesome.
You know,
Two
I got
absolute wastes of time.
What, Aquaman?
No,
Madam West?
You probably will.
I might like it.
No,
you probably will.
I bet I might like it.
Oh, we could all watch it together.
I am curious as to whether or not Mark will like it.
What, Madam Web?
Yes.
You think I might?
Because you like a lot of bad movies.
Have you seen it?
I haven't.
do,
okay.
but I don't like a lot of bad Sony movies.
Like the things that I've
heard
heard
as bad
about.
as in boring
Right,
bad.
like
and that's
bad,
not what Mark
boring,
likes.
and that's not
That's
what
right. I
Mark-
don't like boring
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
I like cheesy bad.
Yeah.
Right.
I like what
Bad
I
that we
know
can have
that
fun
I'm
with.
Bad meaning good.
Yeah.
Right,
and it's
exactly.
not. And I'm telling you,
I like
Aquaman
knowing
2, same thing.
Aquaman.
Just not fun, not enjoyable.
Oh, man.
All right.
Fucking horrible.
Wow.
Well, we got stuff for the future.
Yeah, we do.
There we go.
Jeez.
All right, guys. Awesome episode, Josh.
Yeah.
And
Thank you
Thank you again so
for
much.
Thanks, Josh.
Oh, wait till I show you guys Eraserhead. Oh, that'll be fun. God forbid you do a Mark pick month, because you'll hate me.
I'm waiting for it.
Yeah,
But,
we haven't done a whole Mark pick.
Wait till September. It's my birthday. I won't do it then.
All right then.
Until then, though, Josh, it is a pleasure having you on.
Yeah, man.
Again,
Thanks for coming back.
Congrats and good luck with AuthorCon. We're going to be there. I'll be
congratulations.
there.
We'll see you there.
We're going to be there rooting you on. You know, Josh, you have been an awesome guest on this show, but this isn't the first time you've been on this show. So, people, if you're tuning in tonight, you're wondering who this Mr. Acid is, and you want to know more about him and his little Reed Richards, well, there are other episodes you can go to featuring Josh Dowland, or just if you like this show and you're like, who are these dads? They are awesome. They are funny. One sounds like Master Shake from Aqua Teen. Where can we go? Brian, where can they go to hear more of us?
They can go to www.3gdpodcast.com. That's www.3gdpodcast.com. As Mark said, you'll be able to find all of our past episodes there, including and especially the ones with Mr. Josh Dowland. It's always a pleasure to have him on board. You're welcome back anytime, brother. Let me see. If you are not a subscriber and you want to keep up with the podcast, go to the website, smash one of those shiny buttons. It'll bring you to the podcast platform of your choice, and you will never miss an upcoming episode. Most importantly, please, either at the website or wherever you can rate and review podcasts, please consider giving us a 5-star rating and a review. It not only helps to feed Mark's ego, but it mostly helps others to find us when they're searching. And it pushes our little podcast a little further forward from the rest of the ever-growing podcast pack. Our social media links are there. We can be found on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, now X. Our audio portion of our show can be found weekly on YouTube as well. All the links are there, and I think that's pretty much it. Except I always forget, we have a Ko-fi page. Ko-fi page is kind of like Patreon. If you like the show, and we hope you do, you might want to consider supporting us by buying us a coffee on the Ko-fi page. That's what it's called, Derek. Stop laughing. Every little bit helps, and podcasting is not cheap. So with that, I'm just going to turn this back to Mark. But before I do, thank you out there, everybody, as always, for listening.
It's true. Feed my ego and feed my stomach. Give me some coffee. For the love of God, people. Every Wednesday, we do this for you. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Josh, for being here. And thank you, everyone. Derek, Tito, Brian, Tito, Derek, Maura.
Mara.
And you know who you are.
Maura.
I think. Maura.
You have. Have you heard the last episode? You did it again in the last episode.
I did. I stuck it in this one, too. It was funny.
Fucking awesome.
Maura?
That's hilarious.
Maura.
She's forever part of this show.
See that? She got a shout out and then some.
She's going to appreciate when she gets
Is
older.
she? I hope.
Yeah,
I
she's
hope.
going to think you're a cool dad. So everybody out there, until next time for Three Geeky Dads, I'm Mark.
I'm Derek.
I'm Brian.
I'm Joshua.
I'm Tito.
Mara.
Mara.
More.
Saying good night and keep watching the skies because...
It's only the mustard, sir.
It's only the mustard, sir.
Here's your loaf, sir. I gotta pee.
Show your shoes, sir.
Oh my God.
Can we have your living then?
He's all eating away.
Let me silence myself.
This is so professional.
I know.
Yeah.
I did it all myself.
What'd you say?
I said I
Oh,
love
I thought you gave that look because you heard him.
No, I'm just stupid.
No, he was saying that.
I did this all myself.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you looked over.
Right.
And I was waiting for the finger. But they were like,
if
yeah,
I had heard you, I probably would have.
Yeah.
No, I'm just standing there like, hi, Mark.
Hey, I like pie.
I like the Tin Man.
All right, let's do it. Bring
right.
the joke
Look at the
in.
Green Lantern thing. I love that.
All right.
Why
Which one do you want to do?
blue? Why is it blue?
I don't know.
I know it's a green. It's just when
Under
you
the
look at
light?
it against that green, it looks less green.
Yeah, it's
That's
technically
teal.
green.
Yeah, kind of.
It is.
Yeah.
It's the teal lantern.
That's not a thing.
No, it is
And
now.
he's more green there.
You see my wedding ring? It's
Is it
half a
Green
Green
Lantern?
Lantern symbol.
Does she have the other half?
It's an M for Miranda. But if we ever get divorced, I'm filling it right in.
That's
There you
awesome.
go.
Yeah, and I told her that.
Look
She
at this
was
guy
like, oh,
planning ahead.
Yeah.
It's mapping out your
plan.
life.
Always leave yourself out.
Uh-huh. That's it.
All right, let's do it. Bring us in.
All right. Which one?
Oh, yeah, which dad
What
joke are
was
we doing?
the trans one was
All
coming?
right.
The
I'm
trans
gonna-
one was good. I actually liked Josh's.
Which one? The cum one?
Yeah.
All right, let's do the cum one.
Nowhere. Out of nowhere. Go ahead.
Guest.
You do it.
You do it. You're the guest.
I can't remember how the joke went.
I should have been recording an hour ago.
Oh, wait,
I
okay,
have
I
been
got
there.
it. How do you know when the Invisible Man gets excited?
Well, you gotta say, "Hey guys," you know.
Oh,
Have you listened to the
There's a
show?
script. There's a script, right?
No.
You didn't give him the paperwork?
You didn't get the memo? TBS reports.
Hey guys,
Hey.
Hey.
Who are you?
I'm Joshua from the Horror Depot.
And
How do you know when the Invisible Man is excited?
More acid, you say?